daft thing. Right. Should we fucking just go straight into it? What I'll probably do is, I'll probably do an intro of you, Nath, of like who you are, what you've done, etc. So we'll just go into this fucking smoothly, yeah? Right?
Yeah.
Fucking sound. Welcome to the Done A Bit podcast. Just two lads who've done a bit, talking to lads who've done a bit. Special guests, Nathon Burns, sorry. Burns.
Yeah.
And the Ox MMA, Jack Oxley. We will go into the history of Nathon Burns, but let's just get straight into this one question I have for you. Is it true you once went for a run and did a poo in your pants and had to throw it out?
Didn't almost. That actually happened. Hey, rough run that, mate.
Please talk me through this. I've been waiting all week to hear this story in the flesh.
I forgot about this story, to be fair. That's coming really quick.
What we'd like to do, mate, is just break the ice straight away.
That's broken. That's pretty broken. So it was a 3-mile run from the club. So we had a few different runs from the club. And it was timed. So then it was kind of straight out the blocks and going from there. And I was pretty well known. As soon as I go running, you know what I mean? I've got to time it right, otherwise it goes bad. And I timed this really bad. And as I'm running up the hill, I had my leggings on, slipstream, and then bosh, straight into leggings. I couldn't hold it on no longer, so...
What, is this a solid shit or like a...
Oh, full. Yeah, full. Yeah. So the basket was full there, pal. And so I had to... And, with timed here as well, so I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not stopping running here. Because, to be fair, like, it weren't just, right, I need toilet bosh, it's gone. I'm holding on for it, through the forest. We got out the back end of the forest, and I'm thinking, this is killing me here. And I've kept it going. I weren't going to stop, because, again, it was time to run. And we got to the bottom of the big hill.
Is it Blue Bridge or Diamond?
No, so this is from the club. It's just 3 miles through past that though, past Greenbridge. Right. And as you come out the woods, you turn left to go up the big hill. So as I got to the edge of the big hill, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no other option here. Just bang straight into the leggings, and I've kept going. I've scooped my hand in it, and I've just thrown it over my shoulder. And I just kept everyone behind me, I'm in trouble, you know. Someone's going to be covered in... Yeah. But I remember getting back, and I remember getting straight to the club, and I was like, what's going on? Ran straight through the club, ran to the toilet, and I remember sitting in the toilet thinking, what am I doing?
Did you set a PB though on your run? Was it a good run?
No, but I think the time was all right. You know what I mean? I was happy enough with the time.
How far into the 3 miles was that?
We're coming back towards the end.
Yeah.
So like I said, probably, I don't know, from the hill from the club, I wouldn't say half a mile maybe. So like it was, legs were pumping, I wasn't stopping them.
There was no going back.
So did you stop shit through it, or you
no.
No way, that's impressive.
Straight into it was all on my ass cheeks, straight into the leggings and ass scoops. There's going to be some terrified people after listening to this.
It's never slow though when you run, is it?
No, it's not.
Like I don't think you need it for ages when you run. It's like when it comes, it just hits you like a fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Hit back, that's a memory come up there. I remember sitting in the toilet thinking, what's going on here? Like, that was just like mid-20s and you just shitting your leggings.
Yeah, it's not...
Did you tell everyone after, like, or was it kind of like, I'll let it settle for a week and then I'll tell the lads off?
Well, I ran in. I come bursting in. I was like, what's going on? Oh, I've shit my leggings. And I was like, oh, Jesus, look at him again. I was like, here we go, yeah.
Fucking amazing. There's also another story, if you don't mind me asking.
Go for it.
I heard you end up in a wheelchair in Mexico.
Oh, that's another bad one.
What a trip. Let him give him story.
Yeah, go on, give us the full story. Like we will... Sorry, you go.
No, let him give you his story and then I'll give you what I seen.
Perfect.
Unbelievable.
So Cancun Grand Prix, had a scrap over the weekend and then we had the night out. That was Saturday, weren't it? So lightweights, that was Friday. Liv, a few others with the Saturday, and then when Luke let the reins go, head off into middle of Cancun. Is it Cocobonga? Some club.
Oh, you go Cocobongas, did you?
Yeah,
some
that's
club.
That's where it was. That's
no
where
way.
We went in that. Is it Cocobongas?
Cocobongas, yeah. It's like all like there's like midgets dressed up as like.
Yeah, but there's stuff in the air and acrobatics and circus to lay tackle, and then we're idiots have been let off a bit of the steam. You know, we didn't drink much anyway because it was always on tour. We had quite a bit of a break, so they kind of let us off, and then. Like I said, it's like one of them. It's anything we do, it's mental. So even when it came to drinking, I said earlier about it, it was like so much money you get in there and then you get all you can drink, but it didn't work. As we got in there, it was like, well, you get one bottle of something. When that goes, you get next one.
Is Grand Prix, I'm assuming that's a comp where are you fighting multiple times in one day?
You're fighting for Olympic qualification point.
Oh, so it's a big comp then, like
yeah.
Big
highest,
comp. So
highest of the highest, really. There's only a Grand Slam
Grand Slam and then majors after that, really.
So you've gone there, obviously had a good fucking go at it. And then it's like, right, lads, the leash is off.
Well,
Go play out.
We had a break as well, so sometimes it's usually bang on to the next one, bang on to the next comp.
Ah, right.
We had a bit of a break, so it kind of, and then before I know it, it span into that, and then I asked for rum. Lads, rum would be sound, we'll be all right. Spice rum. This white rum come out and it's brutal tackle. So we end up with just... we're turning on ourselves, trying to get... Instead of pouring it away, not very smart of us, we're turning on ourselves as this bloody white rum, and before I know it, and then someone's got the other stuff out. And like I said, it was... I don't even win there that long. And then before I know it, I just remember walking up off the ground outside. I was face down in the middle of Cancun, and Liv's like, Nev, you need to get up. I didn't really know where I were. I remember probably falling asleep and then waking up to Liv trying to get me in a taxi.
I've come out of the nightclub. So our Amy fought in the same tournament.
Oh, never.
So we've walked out the nightclub. And I'm like, right, let's get back to the hotel because we were all fucked. Like you said, we got this white rum, and because it tasted that bad, we said, let's just get through it as quick as we can. We should have probably thrown it away, but we were just chugging it, weren't we?
Not many brain cells.
Throwing it round us, and then me and our Amy leave the club. We're like, right, we're going back. And we get in the taxi. But when we get in the taxi, these taxis are just going mental. Everyone's beeping, and we're in a traffic jam. And then it clicked. It was like, it's 4 a.m. Why are we in a traffic jam? So like I said to our Amy, just pop your head out, have a look down there and see what the fuck's going on. So our Amy goes like that, and she's like, what colour was the top that Nath had on? Because Nath had gone missing like 30 minutes before. So I was like, white. And she was like, right, you need to get out. So I've been like, what? So I've gone down. You're talking like Cockabongo, huge nightclub, Cancun. You can only imagine what the street outside Cockabongo is like. And the whole traffic was being held up because he was lying face down in the middle of the street.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Fantastic.
Bad times.
Is that a career highlight, would you say?
It was a career highlight of a hangover. 2-3 days after that, and it was in the heat as well. But then to get back, I didn't really remember much of that. I remember the next day you showed me the video and they put me in a bloody wheel, because I'm guessing because it's spring break, they're so used to idiots.
Oh,
like
is it spring
myself.
break as well? Is it?
It's a spring break place, isn't it?
No, yeah,
so
it
I
is.
think
Yeah,
security come running out with wheelchairs, getting back to your room, see you later, sort of stuff like that. And then they showed me the video the next day. Yeah,
that's what happened. We got back to the hotel. Security have opened the taxi door, and he just fell clean out the taxi straight onto the concrete. So the security guard he wasn't happy. So he picked him up, put him in a wheelchair, took him to a lift, took him up to the room, and literally we've opened his door and the security guard just tipped him out.
Wow!
No way.
Yeah. And Luke was sharing with my coach. Yeah, you kind of. I remember waking up next day, one of those looks looking at me, thinking, "Yeah, what's going on here?" I was like, "Oh, Luke, I am so sorry, mate." There's a bit more story to that, really. As well.
How did you wake up?
Shit your pants.
Well, some know, not many know that, but I've got a good old denture in here, and I remember waking up thinking, "Shit, where's my teeth?"
No way.
So,
No way.
and then I'm like, oh, shit. Looking round, my head spinning. I've got no teeth in my mouth, and then Luke goes, "Your teeth on the side." I can't remember what he called me, whatever he called me. So I walked round, I put my teeth in, sat there contemplating everything, thinking, what am I doing? I'm glad I didn't shit myself.
How did you do your teeth?
Miami Grand Prix. So it's probably years of dieting and stuff like that. And then I remember first round pulling the guy, an Argentinian lad. And then as I pulled, he jumped at the same time and top of his head smashed in the front of my teeth.
No way. So you got dentures in now?
What's that? Yeah.
That's really fair.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Did you take them all clean out, or was he all snapped?
Snapped, some of them. Like I said, over dieting for all the years, my teeth, I knocked them out as a kid, so they come back quite bad.
Yeah.
And then over the dieting on these and not looking after them properly as I should. And then as he headbutted them and snapped them through, so then I had to get some work done on them. And then during judo, there was no point in getting crowns in. So I've got the metal plates in there, but I've just got a denture in, so, which is battered now just from stuff like that. I'm glad Luke saved them though. Really appreciate that.
Mate, what a fucking start here. 2 great stories already.
I've got nothing going about training. Yeah.
So yeah, actually back to your training. So 28 years doing judo, 17 years full time.
Yeah.
So and what you now, 33?
33 now, yeah.
So fuck me, so you started when you mate, my maths is terrible. You started when you were 6.
Judo at 5.
Judo at 5, nice.
Right, yeah, judo at 5. When my dad had a club, so I had no way out of it really.
Right.
Well, he didn't have a club then, sorry. So then he did judo, had kids, and then was all a bit active, stuff like that. So he brought us back, and then we just went.
Is this in Ireland?
No, this is back in Blackburn.
Oh, right, fair.
Yeah. So this is where we grew up.
Right.
So my family from Ireland, but my dad's family from Ireland, but we grew up in Blackburn. So then from 5, and then from 16, I left home, finished school at 16. I went straight full-time judo. From
No way. Did you go straight to Camberley? Or?
No, I went to the Midlands first. So I went to someone full-time under Fitzroy Davis and Craig.
Right.
So I was under them for 18 months, and then from there went straight to Camberley, and I was there for 11 years at Camberley.
Amazing.
Oh,
Amazing. Are you always fought at 66 or like?
No, so 60s for the first probably 5-6 years. And then that was becoming a task trying to keep that weight down. You know what I mean?
What do you walk about at normally?
About like 71, I say 71, but I'm on it pretty well. I won't, like if I went wild, I could probably swell up a little bit, but...
It's different for judo as well, though, isn't it? Because like MMA, where you have 36 hours, judo, you're weighing in at like 8 p.m. and fighting at 10 a.m.
Yeah, that's mental.
So it is.
You don't even get time really. Like they've changed it a little, put another hour before. I think it's 7 now or something. But like you're eating and then you're wide awake, so all the carbs are getting in you, so you can hardly sleep then, and then you wake up and you're on it straight away, and then you get 5% as well, so you can't go too heavy.
Oh shit! Right.
So 4 random people the next day will get a 5%, so you don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah.
So you rock up an hour before the tournament, and then there'll be 4 names each weight. So if it's you and you're over, you're out.
No way.
So you kind of almost, yeah.
How did you find that transition from like just being a kid at school to going full time? Like,
Oh, loved it.
Yeah.
It was just when you, as a kid growing, it's all I wanted to do anyway. If anything, I wasn't very academic at all, but everything got pushed. So even from 12 to 16, everything with judo. I'd be travelling around Europe and stuff like that, and different training camps, missing school. So when I was at school, it was always, what are you going to do? I'm going to be doing judo. And they're always like, oh, well, he's not going to do this and do that. But I'll be right, don't worry, I'll be fine. And I remember I was actually I wanted to do Bishop Abbey. Bishop Abbey was still open then. And then I was like, I'm going to this centre. I'm going to try and get into this centre. And then got to 16 just before I finished school. The centre got shut down.
no way.
I was like, shit, what do we do now? Like,
Yeah.
So then I looked at a few things, and then the guy who was at one of the centres, Craig, he ended up going to Midlands, and that was the open of that. And then, straight into it.
No way.
But it was great. Like, all day, every day training.
I think that's one thing like you two as athletes probably won't understand from someone who hasn't been at the levels you two been at. Is like you two have genuinely got something like real mastery in something like that. There is fucking phenomenal. Like people will go through life and not even dedicate like you dedicated 27 years to fucking judo. You dedicated 22 plus years to judo. Like some people don't dedicate 5 years to something. Like that is fucking amazing. Like.
You say it like that. I think mastery is a really big word. I think mastery, but dedication is definitely one where I think certainly because judo is a very passion sport where you got a lot of other sports now where you can make money, you can do a lot of other stuff.
See, that is it. What keeps you boys in it? What keeps you boys in it to keep going? Obviously, you have got to be dedicated. You're fucking right.
I think it's a couple of things though. I think it's dedicated. I think it's obviously you have a goal that you want to do, but then it's enjoying it as well. Like I fucking enjoy what we do.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like Camberley was phenomenal. Like there was some of the times that we'll speak about later, and that was unreal. Like it's not just good training, but you're literally with your mates day in day out. You're travelling with your mates. You're fighting with your mates. You're going out with your mates.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard it is, and it gets hard, man. And it gets bad sometimes. And say you've lost, or you've made weight, or you've got no money. The amount of times you have no money, we're living off like the bread cupboard a lot of times. We're putting money together to get stuff. But just when you had a good day, or when the week was, and you've really, tucked into a great week, you feel like you're battered, but you're feeling great. Or just even when a comp's gone, there's no other feeling when a comp just goes well, or you're feeling good in that sort of
Do you
day.
feel like all those hardships have gone into to your normal everyday life now? Like, do you reckon it's taught you a lot of lessons?
100%. Like just the resilience. Nothing's as bad as that.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got the few things of anything seriously happened to family or anything. Of course, that's worse than anything. But apart from that, there's nothing as hard as that.
Yeah.
Like that, almost waking up and your body's your head, and then you just got to go again and again and again.
Yeah.
So when you come to real life now, which I've kind of been trying to do it more recently as I've come towards any finishing, but it's kind of like I've just got to plough on now. It's nothing's as hard as that. It's just like let's game on sort of thing.
Yeah. Mate, if you can dedicate that fucking much time to something, like you can thrive in anything, surely, can't you? You know what I mean?
It does blend into one. So you look back, like I've written my post last week as I've retired and stuff last week officially, and so if you look back, you're like, it's a long time. Like you don't, it kind of does blend into one. And now you look back, you're thinking, 17 years full time, like, and then you start feeling a bit creaks and stuff, thinking, well, I feel it a little bit now. But as you get into it, you just look like Liv said, you love it that much, I couldn't even separate some of the years, like the stories are coming, I wouldn't know when they were, what year that is, it just blends in, and then one country to the next, back to Camberley, all the stories. Yeah. It could be 10 years, 2 years, just blending together, and it's, you know, I think if you've got something like it, when you talk back on it, it's pretty special.
Do you have like a career highlight? Obviously, you got bronze at the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. Like, do you have any like I'm assuming some of the hardships, some of the harder times are like those career highlights. Do you have any of those?
Yeah, like, I'm guessing Liv has as well. There's a good few, you know. Like, I think when you're getting someone when it's not so much maybe the medals, but some of the fights I've had, or you know what I mean. I had a decent world once and got to the top 16. But you know, when you get into that sort of stuff, and then I got bronze in Montreal. When you get into that sort of level, you're trying to get there, and it's the days I feel like where you don't feel great. And then you kind of think, I'm just going to plough on here. And then at the end of it, you've kind of done something, you've got a result and stuff like that. They're the better days. Well, when it feels good and stuff like that, almost like if I do have a good day, it's meant to be that sort of stuff. When you get in there and you're like, I've got a digging hard here. And you sit at the end of the day and, you know what I mean, you've done well here, or you've got a medal there, and you kind of like, you know, it's a bit, you know what I mean, it's almost a bit euphoric, and it's in the sense of, you know what I mean, there's nothing like it in that sense. That's it,
like what you boys have done, like dedicated so much time, something like, if it was easy, every fucker would do it. Well, every fucker.
Like it's another funny story. Like he wanted to go to Japan once, and he did something extreme just to get the fucking funding to go. That's the way the money situation
is this the MMA story?
Yeah.
Go on, talk us through it.
I'm going to upset a few friends here, actually, from back home. I forget all about this. And I've been training an MMA club the last couple of years back home, doing no-gi wrestling and stuff. And because it's never come up, whenever I've ever thought about it, I was like, I've known them too long now, I can't really mention I've done them, like FI, and then, again, I don't know what year this was, 2014 or something?
It was before I moved to Camberley, so fucking hell, it's got to be earlier than that.
I can't think. Were you not at Camberley then?
2012, I moved to Camberley, so...
I think you were there.
No, definitely wasn't, no.
I can't remember what year it was, but I remember coming up and... I've been injured actually, not really bad injury, but one I've been on and off the mat a little bit. And I think it was my back or something like that. And did Randori. We had Randori at Camberley Tuesday night, Thursday night, Wednesday morning. It was the Thursday night. So after a bit of a week, first full week back, and then I got a phone call after getting off the mat. I had a few missed calls off Luckman. And I remember it, like I knew Luckman, but it would never be a missed call. So I remember thinking, James, everything right? Yeah, what are you doing Saturday? I don't know, I'm chilling out. I don't know, I've just finished training, chill out. Yeah, do you want to fight? Like, fight? I've got this fight on, and you know what I mean, it's a bit of a fight. The guy's not great or like that. If you get him on the ground, you give him a ground. MMA, I was like, James, I don't do that. I only did BJJ, I've done little bits of BJJ, then I'm just doing solid judo. I've never thrown a real punch in my life, you know, unless I've had to look after myself, stupid as a kid.
What, no striking at all?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. Zilch, very minimal BJJ, probably once a week. Just started then, so I was like, James, I can come on, mate, 400 quid. I was like, I've been trying to save up money to go to Japan.
So what's
nothing now.
What's the reason to go for Japan for?
To train.
To train, right?
Yeah. So when you're trying to, you always want to try and get out of Japan as much as you can to try and get 4 or 5 weeks under your belt, because you almost feel like you go up a net level. It's always like that thing. You get out there, you do another stint, it knocks you up another level. You keep, and it's random.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Like judo's different everywhere. So the way the British do the judo is different. Where the Russians,
it's more like European judo, I'd say.
What's that?
Like the way judo, like different between different places.
Yeah, you class that as Europe, and then you've got a bit of sort of like Japan. Yeah. That they have their own style, and then you've got Korean, which is a bit of a mix. I
remember you saying like Georgians grab over the shoulder, or like the Russians go the other way.
Very wrestle-esque. But with Japan, it's just 3-hour sessions a day, every day, Monday to Saturday, and you have Sunday off. So the level and the depth of every fight that will be the top level. So you do 4 or 5 weeks, so it's always the aim.
Yeah.
So I was like, I spoke to Luke, and Luke's like, not a chance. It's like, no way. And I was like, 400 quid, Luke, like, what's, like, it can't be, it's not high level, like, no way. And then not an argument, but it's like, I'll come back, like, and he messaged me again, 450 quid. It's like, bosh, I mean. So this was Thursday. So I kind of
50 quid
This
sold.
is about 10 o'clock Thursday night, and I was like, what do we do now? He was like, well, you got to weigh in tomorrow morning. What do you weigh? I was like, well, what if I got to fight? 66, right? I was like 68 then. I've not long moved up, so like, sweet. So woke up Friday, sauned off, met him. I can't remember what it was. I can't think what it was, and I've rocked up there, and I've never been around anything like this and stuff like that. He's got, you ain't there, that's the guy you're fighting. And to be fair, I looked at him.
I was going to say, like, you competed at this mad level. Did you have any nerves pre-fight, or was you just...
I didn't really know what was going on. So I probably got a bit some nerves Saturday when I get to that point. so I think, but I got there Friday to the weigh-in. It was like Friday morning you fight Saturday night,
and that straight away is alarm bells because pro.
Oh, you fought pro as well?
Day before.
It was a title fight.
So no MMA experience, straight into a title fight for 450 quid.
Yeah. So
amazing.
I tell you what, I woke up Saturday and I was kind of sitting there thinking, what am I going to do today? So I think, because this was Friday morning, I was like, oh shit, I'm fighting tonight. What did I do some? So it was at Fort Park. So the big stadium, the middle bit of Fort Park. So we get in there. A few of the lads drove over. They're still laughing all the way over, thinking, "What are you doing, mate?" Like they've all come and get up there. I didn't know when I'm fighting. I didn't know who I'm fighting. I didn't know what I'm fighting. I met the guy the day before, and he looked like he's lost a lot of weight. Quite tall, but he was really skinny. I'm thinking, get round him, I'll be right. So I rock up there Saturday. It was like 2 o'clock sort of thing, and I remember we getting there, and I was like, "Yeah, look, man, what's that?" I start putting my gear on. I said, "Whoa, chill out, mate, chill out. You're not on for it yet. You're not on yet." And I kind of had the glimpse. Later it goes on. Bigger the fight kind of is. So I was like, I knew kind of that sort of gist as that. So I'm coming around a couple of hours later. I'm like, and before it kind of gone on to, they did a rule set. Lads, everyone come in, everyone around the back. So the rule set, amateur, when you're down on the ground, you can't punch or something, you can't punch a kick. So like, yeah, someone get him on the ground, I'll be ready for someone. You know what I mean? I'm looking around, I didn't know, I had a clue what I was doing. I thought, get him on the ground, no one can hit me. Sweet. Semi-pro, and it kind of agreement. I remember looking at everybody, elbows, so they kind of agreed sort of semi-pro rules. Pro, pretty much elbows, ground and pound, anything you're going thinking, that's brutal. I remember looking to my left, what if I got pro? I was like, pro! Pro! So I was like, oh, shit, the bed. So I'm thinking, pro. So I was like, oh. And, everyone's warming up different ways. I thought, how do I warm up? I borrowed all this gear. I borrowed a cup. Is it a cup? So someone's given me these. I've got these tight shorts and I've got this cup and I've got my hands wrapped. Someone wrapped my hands. I'm sitting there, and this is when I'm thinking, what am I doing here? Like, what is going on here? 450 quid. And I just kept thinking, Japan, be right, mate. Japan, you be sound. So warming up again, and then I walk past. Look, mate, you've still got quite a while. Like, you're the headline fight. You're the last fight on.
That's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Main event.
Yeah. So main event, I remember walking past the guy who pulled out his meant to fight, and he kind of won on the stage. He's like, "You're Nathan, yeah?" I was like, yeah. You're fighting him, but I got injured, all right, no worries. He's like, "Oh, yeah, have you done it?" I said, "Mate, I've not done anything before." And he kind of do it, and someone just that uncontrollable laugh. I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, good luck, mate." I was like, kind of thinking, downstairs, before you know it gets to the fight, pick a song. What do you mean pick a song? You got a walkout song. So pick a song, what's it? Little Wayne, is it? Pick the world up and drop it at your head. I thought,
no way.
I'm going to pick the world up and drop it at your fucking head.
We've got to go on. I've got to go aggressive. Try to scare this guy a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got my big judoka on. You know, that big long one, right? So I walk up like that.
I thought you mean your gi.
No, I'm like, it says bad, mate. So I've got this on there. Everyone's come out like that. I remember walking out. And this is the only reason why I remember the guy's called Scott. Because as I walked up, in your butt, like, I don't know what's going in here, to be fair, and like the adrenaline was something else, to be fair, man. It was all, I could see people looking at me thinking, and I heard a few people, what's this guy here? Look at stage of him. Freaking trying to ignore
Do you have
him.
like many friends and family there with you as well? Or?
Just a couple, because I was at the club. All my family live up north, so it was just a couple of, like, Gareth came, Ash came up, and then Karina came in and watched, which was great of them, and then when Yuri, a Dutch lad who was at the club training full time, he came over. They was in my corner, and they don't have a clue. They was just, you get to the point they were just screaming to try and save my life, to be fair. So as I walked in, I remember getting in there and I took my stuff off, and I'm first in the ring. The guy whose belt it was and still is came running around, and when someone just looks like they've done a bit.
Yeah.
So I remember looking at this guy.
Literally.
It looked like Rambo sort of tackle. I remember coming around thinking,
About 2 stone heavier as well.
A lot bigger than he were yesterday, I tell you that now. Because I remember
Because
looking
he'd have cut, wouldn't he, from... What would he have cut from if it was 60?
What was it?
I bet he was, what was
66,
66? I bet he was at least 75 to 80. You know?
I guess I would have guessed mid-70s. I remember looking at him and I think, oh, he's swollen. Look, and he's doing some bounce around the comfortable and I'm in his optic and, you know what I mean? I remember locking me in his cage. I'm thinking, I've never been in a cage before. Oh, here we go. And I just remember, if I just run at him, it'll be right. I'll just run at him and shut my eyes and then we'll just get stuck in. I'll have a bit of a brawl. So, cage shut, heart's going, to be fair. And you know what I mean? And I kind of crept over to him a little bit, see what's going on, sort of thing. And I thought, you know what I mean? And he's kicked me. I didn't see him. I just remember feeling this kick. And I thought, he's broke my fucking leg.
No way.
I thought he's broke my leg straight away. And I didn't move. And he's caught me right mid-fight. And I'm thinking, he's broke my legs, I'm telling you now. And I'm starting to thinking, oh, if he kicks me again, I'm done. So I ran at him, I picked him up and I took him down somehow. And I couldn't tell you how. And then, I mean, the heart is going. And then he rangs all that. I've never done jits, really, very minimal. Then he's grabbed my legs, he's got some leg lock on. And then I didn't know what I'm trying to get out. And then, remember Mike Fung? Champion, fair play. So he's at the side and he's shouting stuff, mate, you can hit him. I was like, oh, shit. So I've smacked him in the face and I've smacked him again. He's let go of my leg, I've got my leg and my heart's going around and we're trying to grapple a little bit. He wraps around my leg again. And I mean, he gets me on the floor and my leg was next to my head, right? And I thought my hamstring going to rip. And I've kind of looked up to the ref and I've gone, yeah. And the ref's just staring, the ref's just staring at me and I'm going, yeah. And then he's kind of overdone it and let go of my ref. It's kind of verbal tap. I'm like, he's about to snap my leg. And the ref's just kind of looking like that. He's looking at the other guy. The guy overdoes my leg. And then it comes off it. So I managed to get out somehow. I've hit him again. And before we know it, I've got his waist. And I remember before the fight, I thought, if I just get round his back, I'll just keep throwing him until he don't want to be thrown no more. I'll jump on him and then hopefully try and hit him. Got round his back and I'm sitting there. We stood up now and my head's in his mid-spine. I'm thinking, like, and he went really calm. Thinking, what's he doing? What's going on here? And I've crept up and I put my head over his shoulder. And what he was doing, he was looking at the camera to see where I were. As I put my head up, he went, boom!
No, fuck you.
Elbowed me, went, split my eye.
450 quid.
Yeah. So I'm looking up, I've got this dead leg, my eye split, there's blood everywhere.
I've got this dead leg.
This is the first round, one round.
No way.
And we end up on the floor, he's done something, and typical judo, we roll, if we get thrown, I didn't get got thrown, I think we've gone to the floor, but I've rolled onto my front. Yeah. And it's kind of what we do. I rolled onto my front, and I mean, now he's hitting me one way, and elbow, I remember the elbows are disgusting, right at the back of my head, and I'm sitting and I thought, I can't tap from that anyway, I've never did that, but this is horrendous. He's hitting me, and he's got his hands and he's sliding round, and I'll never forget, I remember going, and he's got here, judo, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So as he's done that, I've looked to the ref and I'm doing this to the referee.
Yeah, it's not allowed.
Because in judo, if he did that, the ref would stop the fight and stand you back up.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I'm doing that, and he's kind of, I'm pointing to the referee like that, and the ref's, the ref's
This
like,
referee's thinking, why does he keep talking to me?
And I remember during the fight earlier on, I kept hooking the cage, you can't do it either. So the ref's slapping me hand at one point during the fight, and I'm talking, ref's got my leg. And he's like, mate, you can't hook the cage, you're going to lose a point or something like that. You're going to lose a point. Oh. And he got my leg again, I'm hooking on the cage. So then back to this point here at the end, and then before I know it, he's whiling down there, and the ref's not helping me at all. Nice one, pal. And then he gets round my neck, and I remember I hear the clappers going, 10 seconds gone, my eyes are rolling back. And to be fair, one of those elbows caught me right in the jaw. And I remember he caught me in the jaw, I thought, he's broke my jaw here. Right. And I remember just before...
Just gives a quick injury report, so jaw broke, legs fucked, hamstrings tore off.
Yeah. 450 quid.
450 quid.
Eyebrows gone.
Eyebrows gone.
Eyebrow split. He's pretty well eyebrow. I'm thinking, he's broke my jaw here, jaw's really bad here, I can't, you know what I mean? And then I'm thinking really quickly as he's about to strangle me, thinking, what am I doing here? This is brutal. He gets round, he ends up getting it, you know what I mean? He wins that sort of thing, and I come up and I remember sitting there thinking, this is like looking around, what have I done here? And I walked round, as I walked through, I thought, got me 450 quid. You know, I remember rolling round the back, and my leg was throbbing. As I leant back, it felt like my jaw was splitting open, so I couldn't lie back. I sat up. I think he only, it clumps now a little bit, but he didn't break it out. Eyebrow split. I remember going back to my room. Sonny, we travelled back, got everyone a bottle of pop at BP garage.
Out you 450 quid?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I didn't want to spend too much, to be fair. I was going straight to Japan, but I sat there. I remember at one point, Gaz at the side of the cage.
Very panicked.
And he was like, tap! Nathan, just tap! stop. I think when the guy, like, and I remember one, like, Gaz is angry and Gaz is like, mate, I just wanted to jump in and help you, mate. You're all right. I'm sat there with my jaw.
Was this pre-teeth or post-teeth?
This pre. I'm in teeth then, so I was all right, to be fair, but I forget. I'm gonna have to talk to a few people when I get back now. A few of those MMA lads. And like I said, and that was the one and only time. I've never done it before. Never done it after until I've not done MMA. I moved back home and done bits of wrestling with them, but I forget about it because it was just so random. Like straight out to Japan, I did deadlift for about 3 weeks. I remember doing all sorts. Someone, you know, you do Ichikumi, and all sort of Gary switch across your leg. I remember, it was like deep bone bruise. And Luke was fuming the next day. Luke burst in my door. Look at your state of you. And I'm sat there, jaw like that, split out with my dad. Like I said, look at my sound, Luke. Look, honestly, my sound. He's like, and he rung Lutman. And to be fair, Lutman didn't explain fully what was going on, but I jumped into it. Like I just didn't expect it to be a headline fight.
Is there footage of it?
I doubt it. I hope not.
I hope not. There's footage you don't want to see, isn't it?
Dodged a bullet there, mate.
Yeah, I hope not.
Where'd you go in Japan?
Scuba.
So when you go to Japan, what are you doing there?
Just training every day. So it's all built for the university. It's a bit like America. So the university, the sport's all built through them. So a lot of the universities do judo. Like I said, went to scuba. The heyday scuba, you'd have 80 to 100 on the mat every single day.
No way.
Yeah. And then before Beijing, they had like 5 people in the Olympics. So 7 men, 7 women go to the Olympics for Japan because they always qualify. And Beijing, they had 5 people.
Japan's one with Shoni Yoni, is it?
Shohei Hono.
Yeah, he's like the big dog in here of like judo. Like
he's double Olympic champion, mate. He's something else. Yeah. He just retired last week as well.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
No
Was
way.
he retired?
Last week, yeah.
Oh shit.
He's gone straight into coaching. He's coming over here. He's coming over to Britain.
No way.
On a podcast.
Coaching for.
I think he just does
Japan.
It. Yeah, but he's living in Britain probably. A bit like Ebenheimer is in Wales now.
He's going to live in Britain?
For like a year or two, I think, to learn English and do some coaching and stuff.
Amazing.
I'm not sure where he's going now.
Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of retiring, what is the plans for you, my lad? What are you going to chill for a bit or?
Like I said, I kind of probably knew it was going to come to this point anyway, but I didn't know where I was fully going to be at. So I've been training all along. I love training. I've been trying to do a lot of jits and getting a lot of that done and stuff. So there's a couple of opportunities potentially coaching in the new year. So nothing I can really. I'm not sure. There's nothing official or like that yet. So if they become fruitful in the new year, I'll take hold of some of them, and then I've got quite a bit of coaching at my dad's club and stuff like that. And I'm kind of just it's one of them. I've done it for so long. I kind of want to. Of course, I want to be successful in what I do and stuff like. I've got a few ideas, but I just want to work out what I want to spend my time doing. You know, I think at this point I could really rush in to do something because I think everything else is easy from what I've done. So I could jump into doing it, thinking, I'll make some money, it won't be that hard. But I'm kind of at the point now. How do I want to sell my time almost? Because
that's it. It's a switch of purpose, isn't it? Like it was all about you being an athlete. Now it's like, do you want to bring on the next athletes? Do you want to find out? You never know. You might have a passion for something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's where I'm trying to work. Exactly that I'm trying to work. I think it's still. I think I'll always have to train. I'll always have to, you know what I mean, have some sort of fight in my life. So I think that's where I think over these me personally, I'll get stuck into jits over these next few years and get a bit of competing going and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
nice.
You know what I mean, feed a bit of, probably try and get up here a little bit more and get some sessions in with you guys and live in that and stuff.
I think it's just like when you finish something like being a full-time athlete, it's important that whatever you do, it's like it has some sort of goal though. You know what I mean? Like I fucking fell into a few dead-end jobs and it was just fucking awful.
Yeah.
Because like you just said then, when you leave judo, obviously when you were doing judo, you had a goal, like Olympic Games or whatever it might have been, whether that changed the longer you were doing it and that. And I just think it's fucking really tough when you first come out. Because it's weird, like even, like I went into judo in schools, but I didn't really have a passion for it though. And it's fucking hard because it's like, what gives you that buzz that when you got out of bed, when you were as a full-time athlete, didn't matter how fucked you felt, the buzz was that you might go to an Olympic Games one day.
And you absolutely bang on, and I think we've come across this a lot of times together and stuff, but doesn't matter what state you're in, where you are, no money you've got at all, waking up, having that goal, there was nothing come close to it. There was no even sidetrack on what am I doing, you know what I mean? And sometimes when you got to a comp and something done really bad, you'd be like, oh, come on, man, I was going on here sort of thing, but there was nothing unwavering to that. But to be fair, these last few months, it has been hard to try and work out what I want to do, and I think it is the goal, because I've kind of got no...
Do you have family or anything like that?
Do I?
Do you have family?
I've got family, but I've not got a family as in my own. You know, I've got a girlfriend. And I think that's the point as well. Like, my girlfriend's been fantastic leading up to these last 6 years sort of thing, and it's kind of been incredibly selfish.
Yeah.
I've tried to be a nice guy about it, but these last 6 years, when I've been with her and around my family, it's all about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's amazing to have that support, though, isn't it, mate?
100%. So that's that switch now, where I'm getting to that point now where any of the decisions I make with them in mind as well, with her, my family and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the last few months have been hard to say there isn't a goal.
It is, that's what it is. It's just like...
waking up to, I'll train, but I'm finding myself in the gym and I'm sometimes thinking, what am I doing here sort of thing. And I do enjoy that, but when there's no purpose to it, it does become a little bit harder to... And I think that swings and roundabouts recently. So you know what I mean? It gets that hopefully the new year, things have been more clarity on what I want to do, or if there's any opportunities to move forward with. And then, but definitely, I think...
That's it, mate. Was it 5 days ago you kind of officially announced like you've got fucking time?
That's what I mean. And I've got Christmas, I can relax here with family and stuff like that. And then I think there's a few people coming up to do some sort of bits of sessions, like more like just enjoying it a little bit, and then break into the new year to see what there is there and stuff like that. But I definitely know what I want to do personally in the senses of trying, you know what I mean, keep my foot into the door with fighting and stuff like that, as in BJJ and stuff, and you know, entertain myself in that sort of way, but more on there was nothing. Judo is the sole focus, and just like when judo is there's nothing else can come to it. Well, when you look at these other things, maybe if we transferred over to jits, you can do that whilst having a family. You can do that whilst running a business. You can do that whilst running other things in that sort of sense. It's a calmer approach.
I think you can do it for a longer time as well.
Yeah,
like
physically, yeah.
My body's fucked as yours is. I can do jiu-jitsu till I'm 40. Can't do judo until you're 40.
Well, yeah.
I mean, fucking hell, you'd be absolutely broke.
Well, it's a travel, even though you can travel for jits, but like making weight, and like some tournaments, you go to South America, it's back-to-back 3 weekends in a drop.
In hostels.
Yeah. So hostels through the week, and then you have to go official the day before. So you're jumping in official, you're jumping around there, you're trying to check in, you're trying to make your weight, you're trying to check your weight, and then you get, say you win or you lose. Next day, you try and have a couple of beers, or you try and have some sort of food to try and calm down, then you're back on it the next day, because we're flying off to Argentina, then to Uruguay.
Well, that's what people don't see as well. It's like, you've been Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, Peru. It sounds fantastic, but
it's not what you just see in sports halls. You just see in sports halls having a scrap going home.
Hostel sports halls, zero money in your bank account.
If you got stuck, I think I got to a point where a few years ago where whatever money I had in my account probably could just get me through, you know what I mean? If I went wild a week, that's as much as I had. No credit cards, no nothing.
Do you think that's what keeps you going? Like, it's going to sound like, do you think because of the lack of money there, you've always got that drive? Like, sometimes, do you think if you had 100k in the bank, you wouldn't be as driven?
No,
or do you reckon?
Not for me.
I wouldn't change.
No, would you not change? That's sick.
Like, for me, it was like, it wasn't never about money, because there's never money in judo.
Yeah.
So like there's no one in Britain that starts judo for money, because there's no fucking money in judo.
If I had money, I think I'd find a way of making it harder, I reckon. I'd find a way of pushing more. I'd be in Japan all the time. That's that sort of sense where some people say, if I had money, if I won the lottery, I'd be gone. If I won the lottery, I'm thinking, this is great.
Yeah. It's much more
You know
opportunity.
I mean? I'd just kick Camberley out, so everyone got good beds, I'd be sleeping there, we'd be having all sorts of things we needed, recovery room. I'm just thinking, I can train more if I can recover. But and that's how you can. It's the same as you really live. It's fine.
That's why your boy's mindset is just different. And like, I know you said about mastery being a big word, but you've got different heads on you. You've got different heads on you, which are fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean? The fact that that's the first thing you're thinking about is fucking great.
What do you reckon if the hardest place you ever trained was? Japan.
Do you know what? When I was a kid, we went to Cuba.
I've heard about this trip.
And I think as much as it was, I loved it, and it's one of them where, but I remember as a kid thinking, shoot, getting into, you know what I mean, the junior sort of senior judos is different. We rocked up to Cuba. I remember getting off the coach straight away, and there was an owl on the floor, broad daylight during the day, with a big hole in its chest. And I'm thinking, and it was we were in the middle of Cuba, like it was. I remember looking around thinking, this is brutal. We stayed into work. We had the digs there. It was all a part of the National Centre there. I remember the next morning we got over to the food for breakfast. The breakfast was like biscuit. Do you remember those gems? Those biscuit gems you used to get in a packet.
Little ice gems.
Ice gems.
They were nice then.
Yeah.
There was, yeah.
Well,
They have them for breakfast.
People started getting their hair cut like that, didn't they, at one point? Remember?
But that's what they got for brekkie. Brilliant. But that's what we got for brekkie there. And I remember getting under these two girls.
Ice gems for brekkie.
Well, it was that and then bits of biscuits.
Yeah, and they walk around like that.
I'm telling you now, these two girls walked past and I thought they were weightlifters. They was mad. They were probably 5 foot, but I mean, like, trap, no nets. And I remember thinking, because it was National Village. So I'm thinking, hour later, I seen him in a judo suit, and it ended up being the 48 Cuban girl who literally won everything.
Yeah.
And there's probably not much drug testing going on over there. But I remember walking into the dojo straight away, and I mean, there was no windows, it was just shutters, it was 40 degrees, and in the middle of the mat there was this probably 6x6 hall.
No way.
Just no mats in the middle. So I'm thinking, we're not training here. Everyone lined up, people got car seat belts for belts. Stuff like that. I'm telling you straight away.
What's next level?
Your black belt's a car seat belt.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if you're a black belt, you know what I mean? Pink belt, yellow belt. He had a car seat belt on. And sat, and I mean, to be fair, the women had it bad because the women in the next row, they were all world Olympic champions. The men, there were a couple of Aaron Sibby. Remember Aaron Sibby? He was probably one of the best ever.
I said the big boys over in Cuba. Big boys.
But not very technical. Only a bar, maybe 3 or 4 who were world class. But the rest of them were just.
Was it 73s?
66 and went up. I think he went up and then won Paris. He got medal at Paris at a weight above.
Unbelievable, right?
But it was just physical. Like, and we were fighting in the middle of this. Like, I remember, I think Ash Foot went in the hall at one point all week. So fighting around this big hall in the mat. You went in it, you went in it. And like I said, there were splinters everywhere and stuff. And then literally said, do you want to do a competition at the end of the week? So as we found now, we rocked up there Saturday, brand new spanking mat. All done, really? Ready for this competition. And I mean, like, it was like dog eat dog.
It's rough, isn't it? Like, when I went for Grand Prix, Cuba Grand Prix, that was in Havana.
Yeah.
Is Havana the capital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the capital, and, like, it has, like, a new town, old town,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, when we went around Old Town, it's literally, like, you can get this shitty little, like, tour bus that'll take you right round Old Town. We actually did that for whatever reason. But, like, there's people walking out of these boarded up houses, and they're fucking living in them. It's like, these houses look trashed, and then someone will walk out and they're just smoking at the front door and that. Like, that's where they live. It looks like a ruined town. We
had a day off in Havana, so we were there for 2 weeks. We had a day off, so we were walking around, and it was a nice day, so I'm thinking we just wanted anything, because I loved it, but the train was brutal. So we're walking down, and I remember, it was like a group of us, juniors, and I remember one of the girls going, oh, and some guys walking towards us, and you get an aspect of someone being kind of homeless a little bit. And he's walking towards us, though, and he was covered in oil. Head to toe in oil. Head to toe.
Like baby oil or like car oil?
Like car oil. Straight up. And he's walking...
Save baby oil, get an arrow.
I'm joking. Wait to the next... As he's coming up, and then the girls are moaning about, he had these things coming out of his flies. And he's walking up, he's swinging out, and he's just in his own little world walking up. The girls are all like, not screaming, but I'm like...
What's he been doing?
Yeah, what is going on there?
So I walked to the edge of where the water is, and it's nice that all these big cruisers are coming in. It's just caked in oil.
No way.
So I'm guessing he's fell in the water.
No way.
Why is the cock out though?
He's taking a piss.
I don't know.
I'm guessing he's not.
I'm guessing
He's got to be taking a piss and falling in.
No.
But then not to put it back away.
No, he looked rough.
You've already fucked it, haven't you? You might as well just carry on.
He's fell in the water. I'm guessing the old little fella's come out, and he don't know. He looked rough. Big lad, to be fair, but looked rough, and he's walking up covered in oil. I'm like, that's a bad morning, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like going to Mexico, isn't it, and getting fucked up and getting a wheelchair around.
That's true. That's true. At least around my pants on.
And what would you say is like, that's like the hardest place you've been? What would you say is the shittest? Like for me, my shittest place has been China.
I hate China.
Yeah.
For what reason?
What's wrong with it?
Where I went was a place called Ho Hot.
That's where I went.
Is this the one where you got kidnapped?
Yeah.
Still got my soul.
I still need to tell the kidnapping story.
I told you that.
I ate cat.
Like,
I ate cat.
Which
and
part
I was
of
that
China
jet
was
lagged.
that?
What?
Which part of China did you go?
Oh, hot.
Oh, is that where you went?
Still
as well?
got-
So he was eating bare pussy in China. The raw pussy.
Straight up
I
pussy.
didn't really, I was that jet lag sort of thing, and I remember like I was that spaced out when I got there, and it was cracking this skin. And I was like, I thought it was a whole chicken from the restaurant, from the supermarket. And the woman was a bit funny with me. She was a bit like, I'm like, chicken, that one. And she's like, ah. And she ended up giving me thinking he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's got here. I'm banging. I remember looking at it, and I've all just landed, and the journey was horrendous. Getting to Beijing, flying over there. I was all fighting in a couple of days. And I remember cracking this skin, tasting really weird. And I remember looking at this thinking, this neck's weird. This is like a really abnormally long neck. And then I pushed the neck off of it, and then he had the other half later, and I didn't realise straight away, and I'm thinking, I think it was a couple of days when Ben got there and Uzi's got there, and on my way I'm thinking, long neck. I'm like, that's a tail, man. That was a tail.
No
No,
way.
mate, it's fucking like, I've never seen anywhere like that hot. Like,
How did it taste?
I remember I was a bit spaced up. I remember being a little bit bitter and stuff, and I was just like, "Oh no!" You know, it topped the end because I got stuck in Beijing on the way home. I was there for hours, and it was horrendous. And then you know what I mean? There's people spitting in bags, and I know it's cultures and stuff, but you sit next to people and they're spitting in bags. I was like, and you know, I had a bad tournament, lost in golden score in the first fight, and then it was chasing Olympic points and flying on the side of the world, and it just
They got good athletes as well.
yeah, but yeah, they have, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got some specimens, but it's more the people meeting. It's almost like Formula One Grand Prix. It's the same sort of people moving from country to country to country.
Yeah, it's like the world tour.
Right,
basically.
okay.
So you see the same faces on that circuit.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that hot, I just found it was just unbelievably unhygienic.
Yeah.
Food was awful.
You couldn't get proper food.
Nah,
It's not really food, is it? A bit of cat. Like, it's not really a meal, is it?
No.
The supermarket looked great. I thought, it looked like an M&S. I was like, this would be fantastic, and I'll get one of them and take it back. And then you know what I mean. And then as I got home, I started reading. I'm thinking, that was a bad trip. And I got like I said, I got stuck, and then they won't give me a new flight. So actually, I ran through. I got late, so I got delayed on the first flight. Ran all the way around, and then they signed off my visa. Ran to my terminal. My gate's gone. Flight's gone. But then they weren't going to let me back in because my visa's done. I was like, you've signed my visa off. No. I'm in the terminal, mate. There's everything. It's midnight almost. It was like during the night. Like, what do you want? Sorry.
But the thing is, if you miss that flight, you're not getting home because you ain't paying for another flight.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. So I'll come back, they managed to re-sign it, got the whole way through, and the desk doesn't open till 8 in the morning. I was like, what do I do? Sorry, we got a hotel for you in the middle of it. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going Beijing. I'm staying here. I'm waiting for it. So I sat there, and I'm looking at Lufthansa at the desk, and I went for it to open. I remember I felt horrendous. And it pops up, you run over, and they're just doing a job, aren't they? So they're like, morning, mate. I'm like, mate, I need a flight. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, next flight, and it worked this. And I remember getting on the flight, and it was really old plane. I had this aircon leaking. So by the time I got home, I was, you know what I mean, piss wet through. And I'm thinking, just one of those, you know, hopefully I'd never have to go back sort of thing. Yeah. And I bet there is some cool points. Shanghai's meant to be pretty cool. You got some, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But
me and Danny, we stopped off at Shanghai, and it was terrible.
Really?
It was terrible. Like, we stopped off for one night in an airport hotel, went into the town, got food, and it was like that. Just, you know, you what idiot abroad? It was just like cockroaches on sticks and that. It was like that. Shanghai was the same. The only thing I found different with Shanghai was some people could communicate.
Right,
like
it's
some
a big
people
city.
could speak English, whereas that Ho Hot is just like, I remember going for fucking
I was meant to be in that China trip. That's when I snapped my knee.
Ho Hot.
Because China was at the back end of Mauritius and Australia.
Yeah. So I went to Japan first and then travelled over.
No, it was Korea, wasn't it? Not Jeju.
No, so before the Ho Hot Grand Prix that I did, I
You
went
went
at scuba.
Right.
I did 3 weeks in scuba, and then we did China and lost first round. The Shanghai stop off was for Jeju.
Was it? Right, yeah.
But yeah.
So you done China twice?
I've only done China once. I've stopped in Shanghai once.
Right. Oh, right on the way home, yeah.
It was only one like that, but it wasn't much different.
I'll tell you what I was disappointed with as a nation to go to, and Mauritius. Remember?
Yeah, I was very.
I expected
Mauritius
paradise.
in Spain. Is it my geography
it's
shocking?
Africa, isn't it? But that's that's the
course it is.
paradise, isn't it? Mauritius is like
Yeah,
the
you're
one that's meant to be paradise, but it's resorts, isn't it?
But if it's not resorts, it's just let people out like it's just normal life, and it was just pretty grubby, weren't it?
Rough.
Yeah.
Just not what you expect from Mauritius. You know, we're going to Mauritius for a comp. Quality, we'll chill out there a little bit. I'm just like,
I'll ask a random question. So, like, when you have these tournaments, are you invited? So, to a Grand Prix, do you have to earn your points to get to a Grand Prix, or do you go right? We're just going to rock up. Like, is it like an Empire where we just rock up, sign up ourselves?
It's how you've done in your country, isn't it?
yeah, so,
Right.
yeah. So Grand Prix, so World Cups and above, it's kind of like to say, if you had like a national team who were taking teams everywhere, they'd be like, right, Owen, you selected for this World Cup in 4 weeks' time, get ready for it, and then you're going to this. So that's how it kind of builds up from there. But then some of the World Cups could be open. So like they'll open the World Cup, and then clubs can apply for it. So Cameron used to apply for it, and then they give it you something. So I'm very fortunate these last 7 years. I've had a full programme with Ireland, and it's kind of Kieran will plan the programme at the beginning of the year, so I knew from January what I'm going to do all year. And then, but when it comes to Olympic cycles, it's just certainly if if you're not number one or top 3 in the world, where you can pick your tournaments and stuff like that. When you're chasing points, you literally just go into every comp.
I was going to say that's how you do it, don't you? You have to get points to qualify for the Olympics, and then if you're in that bracket, you are selected.
Yeah, so it's a top 20. Ended up top. This last cycle was top 22, top 18 in the world. This last cycle, so top 18 in the world will then go. So then that's it, game on, chasing points. And COVID come in the middle of it all.
Oh yeah,
which was carnage. And then we thought is it going to be COVID? So whoever did it before COVID, it stops at that. If it's not, is it after it? How it all kind of works and stuff. So then he restarted it all, and then from there that was brutal because you couldn't leave your hotel really. Yeah. You weren't the first few tournaments you couldn't leave your room. No way. Yeah, you get tested. You're in your room for 24 hours until your test comes back.
That must have been fucking horrendous.
I'd say it's probably one of the worst experiences, barring anything tragic to yourself and stuff like that. It was rough. Yeah. You're getting cabin fever and stuff like that. And to be fair, I think we tackle it. I'm really fortunate to have someone like Kieran, and then I went on a few trips with Luke. So Luke come and took me on a few trips and stuff like that. So you're having people like that. So Luke's
Kieran and Luke are judo coaches.
Yeah, so Luke was head coach of Camberley.
Yes.
And then Kieran's the head coach of Ireland.
Right.
And they know each other really well. So I'm very fortunate like that. But some of the trips you're stuck in all like you may as well be going Blackpool every week.
Yeah.
But honestly, you just don't know what you want. You go there, you literally hotel, you have to wait. You get to the airport, you get picked up straight to hotel. You can't leave your hotel. You get tested, you're in your room, and you get your band. You get your green band where you're positive, negative. If you are positive at the beginning, you have to stay there for 10 days. Oh, no. You couldn't leave your room.
How ridiculous is that with how it is now? It's gone, isn't it?
Yeah,
very much. Wow.
No, but judo now you're still going to get tested.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's just money, innit? I think. So judo now, I think it's liability as well.
Yeah,
so if you're landing there, you do get tested, it spreads around. They say, well, we tested everybody, we didn't know.
And that's still now?
Yeah. So I think there's hardly any sort of waiting process now. It's literally within minutes sort of thing. But I think, again, they're still making a few quid off it, but also it's liability purposes. It's no need for it, but yeah.
So for those interested in it, like what, with your, so you're doing your cycles there, all these comps, like what was you doing in your strength conditioning? Was this just judo first, obviously, then were you doing much weights, much conditioning?
Well, the last few years has probably been the bulk of my stuff. It has been, because at home it's been my strength conditioning, and then I'll create, so I had some lads who create judo for me, who'll come down, so but my main bulk would have been strength conditioning. And then when I travelled, if it was training camp, we've got my load of randori in it.
Yeah.
So say my sparring, so say we're going here for Mongolia for 2 weeks, that's going to be your high load of sparring. So when it comes into comps and stuff like that, and certainly to come in thick and fast, certainly with the Olympic qualifying, it's trying to maintain and then almost peak for each tournament and feel good for you. And certainly when you're in the thick of it, your first tournament, your second tournament, you can kind of have some control on how you peak or how you feel. But when it's coming thick and fast after it, it's just trying to feel as good as you can. You know what I mean? There's not much science about that sort of sense. If you've got a lot of money, you can start ticking a little boxes, but that's just sheer back down, pal.
You can't peak every 2 weeks, can you?
No chance.
Fucking like all year round.
I'm certainly not travelling to Kazan, and then we're coming back from Kazan, and it's straight over to, you know what I mean, you got Baku, and to be fair, the Olympic last year's Olympic qualifying, it just blends into one. I forget where I've been to, where I started, and when it worked, because I think about the last sort of years when we spoke on before, how it blends into one. That qualifying process was literally just bombardment. Like I can't like.
Yeah, that's it. The days are long out, but the years are short. Yeah. Like you blink and you've been doing judo 27 years. You know what I mean?
100%. And that's it. I remember sitting there thinking, oh, I'll never finish judo. I'll do this for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? If I retire, it's years away, and then it goes straight into you.
Yeah.
We were on about it before, though, weren't we, with the S&C? Like Camberley have had like Ben Rosenblatt. He fucking did a lot of S&C for Camberley, didn't he?
He was fantastic. I think we were lucky enough to get like his direct programme. So I think there was a couple of others, weren't there, who did generic for really good stuff. Did generic for a lot of them, and then sort of people who maybe trying to get to Olympic Games and stuff. We had specific programmes. So Ben Rosenblatt, and he's head FA now, head of England.
Yeah, you've mentioned him.
And then the last few years, I've had someone called Chris Stewart. So you've met him. He used to work at
Huddersfield, wasn't
he? Yeah, so Huddersfield Giants. And he's been fantastic. He's brilliant sort of thing. So he's been running all my programmes, and he's been out, you know what I mean, trying to peak as best as possible with the madness coming through. And he was great at pulling me back when he knew, you know what I mean. I'm idiot, similar to Liv. I'd back down and just get through a session where he's like, mate, you kind of just, if you're not feeling great, it's pointless. You kind of defeating the objects what you're doing. So with that support these last couple of years being at home, and having someone at his level, that's been fantastic as well.
That's it, mate. We all need a coach, do we? We all need a coach to kind of tell us,
100%.
to put us fucking back when, like, especially you boys, you just fucking crackers. Like, if you're you two left to your own reins, you'll just train until you fucking grind
Do you
yourself
know
right
what,
down.
though? It's weird because we've had S&C coaches who tell you the right way, but then sometimes I've never felt stronger and fitter at Camberley than unplanned Blackwater hill running, like beam circuits.
The
which is just
rawness,
absolutely ridiculous training. Like,
What are you doing on the beam circuits?
That was something else. Well, they don't do it no more really, but it's literally the dojo. So the roof of the dojo has different beams, and we just used to hang on to them for dear life and go as far as you could on them. So like one of them's a steel girder, so you could probably you couldn't get a finger.
It's like a shit pinch grip on that.
Yeah, that's it. And then you got it's triangular, so you go high,
No way.
you got to cross over, and you come down, and then you go straight into a zigzag circular pole. So then you just swing him more then, and then Luke added stuff like mat holds after that and stuff, and then it was getting rusty, so then people were getting cut, and then rust coming down, and then towards the end I think he's like, I think we could get a little bit more scientific here, so he's kind of but they were brilliant.
Phenomenal though. I've never felt stronger and fitter.
Yeah.
Like Blackwater, there's no science to Blackwater. There's no like fucking zone 2 for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Fuck me, you were just legging it up an hill, lying on the floor for 15
I think
seconds
that's it.
and
I think
walking
if you've got the right people and the right sort of, maybe call them athletes or even the right sort of people, right mentality, rawness and sort of basic training done really well can work really well. And I think when certainly if you can start hunting inches and you can be really sweating over inches and trying to manipulate as much as you can, but ultimately it comes to, you know what I mean, just training really hard, and then maybe when it comes to comp, maybe narrowing that down a little bit so you freshen up as much. But if you've got some sort of idea about your training and understanding a little bit, it's just about determination, grit, and actually having some ability, and then just being able to dig in sort of stuff. And that's not very scientific, and there's people maybe listening to this thinking, you don't have a clue. But when I'm just like Lee said,
Do you know that
Science only has I honestly think it has this much though. Like I
Yeah,
think one thing that we've not really spoke about that much is the fact that when we were doing judo, S&C was like that. Yeah. Like he just mentioned Mongolia for 2 weeks. That's like 4 to 5 hours of sparring every day. There's no better S&C than that as a judo player.
Yeah.
Honestly, like what you just said there is fucking amazing. You're hunting for inches, but that is what that stuff is, isn't it? It is, yeah.
And that's what's different.
You just got to get your
I
head down.
find judo to BJJ is like, I'd never seen it before I opened the BJJ club, was no one trains with each other.
Yeah.
It's like,
It baffles me.
Work Alison Grace here, so we don't come to us and we can't come. He's going to Mongolia and training with someone that he might fight in a month. Like we go to Mixon.
Come, yeah, bring it in.
The start of every competition year, January, there'd be so weird. There's like a small town in Austria called Mittersill, which is like covered in snow, -20.
I reckon it's kept up there, but it'd be in the minuses, no doubt.
Literally, and genuinely, for this week or two, all the best nations in the whole world, everybody, would literally meet in this small town in Austria, stay in hotels on the outskirts, and meet there 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening to spar for like 10 days straight.
Was this like unspoken, like just kind of happens?
No, everyone knew about it.
This is a World Circuit camp.
Oh,
So
no,
everyone-
yeah.
I mean, and you're talking free-form duel on the mat.
And you're
Every
fighting
day.
all of them.
No
so like
way.
you're on the mat with all the top people in the world in your way.
1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, you line them all up, and then you come back, look, like, I've got 6 done, we get you 6, we feel all right, you maybe do 2 more, if not, you finish there, and that you line it, and you know each other.
It's not like, I might fight him next month, so I'm going to avoid him.
Yeah.
I
the
might
opposite.
fight him next month, so I want to get a practice with him.
Never.
It's
Do you get
completely
swatted
different.
by him though? Is it in your head the next tournament? Or
No,
is it just
it
because
isn't,
it's just
yeah.
you spar with him?
It's like now though, training as much as you do.
It's different
If
to
you have a
competing.
shit session because you might just be tired. Like
Yeah, it could be so
if
many
you're actually
factors,
training properly and you're on the mat that much, there's some sessions that's going to be absolutely shit for you just because of the volume that you've done. Like that means nothing when it's competition day and you've had a little rest and you're fresh and you've refueled. That's just about like building that volume, I
We
think.
talk about that as well, where people are a lot heavier as well when it comes to training and stuff like that. There's that different spectrum when it comes to competing, people making weight and stuff. So I knew people in training camps where if I'm going to fight in a camp, it's going to be rough. they probably say I'm like 70 kilos, they're going to be 74, 75. It's, you know what I mean? It's like fighting, you know what I mean, someone a lot heavier. When it comes to competition, it's a lot different.
Yeah, like their wake up might be harder.
Yeah, that's it. You get him on a training camp, because some training camps, say Paris comp, training camp, so everybody thought that comp would do that camp, and then there'd be a World Cup week after, and then there'd be another Grand Slam. So you pretty much run in the space of 2 weeks, and then there's a camp after Dusseldorf. So all them you're fine, and then you might rock up at Dusseldorf 2 weeks later, and someone you fought maybe 6-7 times last week, you got in first round.
Did you have that because obviously you was at Camberley? Did you have that because obviously you was competing for Northern Ireland?
Well, Northern Ireland at Commonwealth Games.
No,
and then, but I represented Ireland.
So was you fighting the British? Oh no, because it's Great Britain or England.
No,
you were fighting England,
yeah.
like.
Yeah, so I would have had to done and stuff like that, but it never come across to that and stuff. But can I fight Republic of Ireland? That's what it represents in that sort of sense. If it did come to that, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course, yeah.
Ah, mental.
But at the end of the day, when you come to competing, even like at clubs, I've had to fight a couple of club people once at international comps, and you kind of like it. You think, all that way for that.
Yeah.
But then when you walk out there, you've just got to ignore it because it's still competitive. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how different it is to jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like, jiu-jitsu is like, there's actually people that say you can't cross-train. The best people in the whole world in judo train together. Yeah. It's like, it's so different. It's unbelievable.
It baffles me the other way. I just don't get the other way.
No,
I could rock up to any judo club anywhere and they'd almost welcome you in. They'd be like, yeah, mate, train. We train here, we train there. It'd be brilliant, fantastic. And I think that's because it's built off a passion. Like we were on about before, it's built off. You're not gonna make loads of money. People do make money from judo, but it's built from that way. I think the industry with BJJ.
I think for these people at the gyms as well, it's like I don't want to sound like I'm licking your ass, but it's like a privilege. You've got fucking some high level fucking judokas coming over.
I think there's so much money in jiu-jitsu now in terms of you can open a gym, and I think there's so much bullshit in jiu-jitsu because you can buy an instructional. There's not many instructionals that are actually going. I promise you, if you look at the stats for BJJ fanatics and judo fanatics, they won't even be close.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think. Have you ever watched a judo instructional?
No.
I've never watched a judo instructional. Like jiu-jitsu, there's 100% people just running businesses now.
Oh yeah.
Off BJJ fanatics instructionals with no done experience, just 2 hours of revising at home, regurgitating it without knowing all the little speed bumps that are involved with it. And you can do that now. Yeah. So then the way I think that them people stop the cross training because
they go somewhere else
and
come
themselves.
Back again.
Yeah, like
it happens in a lot, but not just maybe BJJ, but it'll happen. But I see it because I've been doing a lot more BJJ and it's like Owens. You'll see it, that sort of stuff, and I think because there is a big business entity towards that, and there's a lot of money to be made. It comes with insecurity. Then it comes with I need to have this, and I think if you ever get to that place where it gets to some coaches said, I can no doubt people come up to Carlson, Gracie, Holly here, and you've got someone like Owen, I'll go here, and Owen's like, no worries. This door's always open for you, and there's that confidence what brings. And
we had one. I'm not going to say his name, but we had a big lad join the gym about 3 years ago. Talking like 34 years old when he joined, and the Lake District, Sam who did the seminar the other week at ours, they run camps every month, which is a top idea. Like they have a good person come over, run a camp for 2 days every month. Everyone's teaching something different. Everyone spars. You're basically learning loads of different shit, and you get to spar with loads of different people. It's perfect. One of the lads come over to when we first opened. He's like, real on edge. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Just spit it out. He's like, I'm going to this training camp at the weekend. Like, I've booked on the Lakes camp. Like, are you all right with that? I'm like, you're fucking 34, mate. Like, you do what you want. What are you asking me for? He was like, my last club was a bit funny about that.
It's bad,
like,
that,
fucking train, mate. What's wrong with you?
It's bad, that, and I think that's where it crosses that line from wanting to do something and enjoy something and try and get good at something to then having that business entity. And I think because there is a lot of money, that line gets crossed a lot. But I think the ones that really do succeed, and they probably will make a good amount of money. And I reckon some of them are making a lot of amount of money, but they're selling a great product in the sense of that. But there's that confidence and someone who can actually been at the level.
I think some of it is maybe it's a bit of imposter syndrome in it. Like some of these guys don't actually believe in what they fucking do, so they don't want people to rock up to the class. Remember when we went to Italy? and was watching that guy's class, and he was like looking at us like,
Oh my God, yeah,
he's like, why are you looking?
Yeah.
Why are you
The thing is,
looking
there's
at?
that few judo people, it sounds like in comparison, like you've got to know what you're on about, otherwise you'll just be exposed in a second. Like if you go to an open mat, jiu-jitsu, there's going to be easy rounds. If you go to a camp, a judo camp, is there going to be any easy rounds for you? If they're all black belts on that.
You get a lot of people who self-run to stuff. So you might go, say you go to Mitt, so you might have a lot of the Austrian youngsters or people locally who will then pay to come onto the camp. So you will get that. But generally, say you're in that Mittersill camp at the beginning of the year.
Mittersill is phenomenal, by the
But
way.
you've got, because a lot of people, the Brazilians, a lot of the Asians will come over and stay there for 8 weeks and do all the beginning of the year. So every camp you do at the beginning of the year, starting from Mittersill, they'll be here and hit every comp. But you do get some people, but the problem is, the mentality is, if I fought someone who wasn't very good, who wouldn't test me, I couldn't count that as a fight.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be where I think there's some people mentality of, and maybe, I don't know if it's in BJJ, you go out there and you're laser someone, or you're all right with that, where I'm trying to go out there and I want to try and fight the best in that sort of sense, put myself to them, but I want to be, if I mess up on an inch, I'm done, bosh, gone.
Is that about fighting or sparring?
Sparring.
Yeah, sparring,
yeah.
Because you can get something from sparring somebody lower level at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, of course,
can't you?
You just practice your stuff.
Yeah.
You feel
But
your moves.
that wouldn't go for you in judo. You'd want to be
No,
the
if I
best
went to an
one.
international training camp for a purpose, that wouldn't, but like, if I'm back home and I'm training with people, I wouldn't have, like, said there's some beginners in or some adults where I could probably do all right with, I'll move around with them, just play with a few things and feel it. You still get from that and stuff, but
Them camps are about like getting there to get with the people you might fight later in the year.
Yeah.
So it's like getting a feel for getting the best exposure to the best people.
nah, level fights everyone. You know what I mean? You want every fight to be a war sort of thing. So like you're sitting at the end of the day and you've had, say, you had 2 sessions, 6, 7 fights on each. You're sitting there thinking, I had this guy, I had that guy, you know what I mean? I'm doing all right here. If you had one on an inch, that's okay. You get some of the people coming, oh, do you want one? And you know, they might not be great, they might be really young. You're like, no disrespect to the kid, but you're kind of like, no, I'm just trying to find, you know what I mean? I want to be finding. But fair play to the kid, the kid's kind of doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
the kid's trying to find, you know what I mean? I want to try and scrap you, I want to try and fight you and stuff like that.
There's like a real good way of looking at it, I think. Is like, there's in everything, there's always there's a minus, there's an equal, and there's a plus. There's someone who's not as good as you, where you can, like I say, practice your stuff or teach them something. There's people who are equal to you, they're your peers, you need to see how good you are. And then you've got people who are just way better than you.
That's a really good way of putting it out.
And that's it, they're just way better than you. And what can you learn from them? Or just like you said, you want to go to war. You learn a lot about yourself, don't you? When you actually go for a fucking hard match, you've just been cursed in or whatever, then you go somewhere and puts you on your fucking ass or whatever, you go, oh shit, like I'm learning a lot more about myself.
100%. And I think that's that bit before, say, you're like, oh, who have you got next? And you're like, maybe lives now, maybe Magomedov, like, oh, it's going to be a war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even, this is training, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You still get that feeling, think, oh, you're bowing there, you're getting ready, and this is like, it's, you know what I mean? And then people, you got maybe the heavyweights at the side watching or the lightweights watching because it'll switch. Not everyone's on at the same time with the mats are so small. You get the same feeling. And then you get 5 minutes and it's just nothing. You get thrown, you go again. There's no like, all right, you got to go and finish now. It just goes.
Them camps though are fucking intense, mate.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that says a lot about you as athletes. The fact that you're treating that sparring as it's still kind of the fucking same.
Yeah.
I think that goes up in, like, throughout your whole career. It just shows what level you're thinking about, rather than going on, oh yeah, it's only fucking sparring. It don't matter what happens here. When it kind of does, doesn't it?
Well, that's kind of what you built off, because you're going to spar so much more than you're actually going to compete at.
Yeah.
So you spar people. So like when you come to Randoria, when you come to sparring at the club and stuff, and I get there's a time and a place for a level, like you said, that, and a good way of saying your minus, your neutral, and your plus, and that sort of stuff. But that is kind of what your bulk of your year.
Yeah.
So if you just mess around with your sparring, you don't do it
I think
properly.
that's the way judo is though. It's like, when you're there to proper spar.
Yeah.
When you're at home, you're like training hard as in intensity, but you can practice some shit. But it's like if you were doing jiu-jitsu now, because half the people watching this will be jiu-jitsu people. Like, if you go and spar with Gordon Ryan, you can't practice your shit.
No, you're fighting for your life.
You know, you get battered. So like, you come home, you practice your shit, you go there, it's got to be like, balls out, test what we've been working on, see what's working, see what's not.
Not avoidance.
What wasn't.
Non-avoidance. I think the biggest thing is you've got to be willing to fail. So you've got to be, and even in rando, even in sparring, I think you've got to try and win that much you're willing to fail by doing that, if that makes sense. And I think when you're going out to, even sparring means nothing. Rando in judo means nothing. And you want to always progress. You want to always feel like I felt great tonight. Like, you know what I mean? I'm throwing everybody's. And when you have those bad sessions, are usually when you learn the most.
Yeah.
You come back, mate, I've cracked an hour. Look at it,
them,
feel like.
them camps, you genuinely come back from every single one of them camps and you've improved tenfold.
No.
Even like when we went to Mittersill, like the actual trip itself, in terms of character building, is ridiculous, mate.
It's one of them, we sat there, we spoke about it earlier today, and I sat there, right?
Funny.
During it, it's like, this is horrendous. But now looking back, it's one of the best stories I've ever got. Like, it's one of the best times ever.
So like we've got to Mittersill, paid for it ourselves. So like you're trying to do it the cheapest you can. So our coach books an hotel. He's like, lads, it's 1 mile from the venue. Are you going to be all right? And we're like, you know, we're going to be all right.
But in a way, it's only a mile away, you'd be right sort of thing. I was like, I know what it is.
So we get in at airport, get in a taxi. The taxi's going up a fucking cliff. It's going up this cliff, and we're in the back like, what the fuck's it going up?
Straight out the city, like straight out the little town, and we just went straight on thinking, where are we going here?
Steep. So we get to the top of this cliff, and we've been to Mittersill before. So we've seen the venue, we've gone past the venue, and now we're going up this cliff.
So just add in there, so most teams are on a national team there now. So most teams will get a coach come up, you've got your coaches there, they'll take you to your main hotel, it's all official, you get told what to do, where to go, we're all just rocking up here self-funding, and you have a small group do that. So we had no coach with us, he says that we're just on our own here, booked our own hotel, and...
So we get to the top of this cliff, and we're like, mate, it is a mile, like I can see the thing.
Mountain, like we're looking down, like you could ski off it.
The mile is the mountain, the fucking mountain's like a mile high, but it's like zigzag. So we get into this, what would you call it, like a guest house?
Yeah, it's like a cabin, nice, like big cabin, probably had maybe 15 rooms in it, really nice, modernish cabin. It was sauna
nice.
downstairs on the bottom floor, brekkie was decent.
So these people come out and
Not
greet
midget
us.
No, no ice gems there, pals.
These people come out and greet us, like lovely people, and they're like, we said, hello, nice to meet you, like, we have a car? Like, no. Like, how do we get down there? They're like, we've got 2 push bikes. So like, you're talking like snow.
And then a road, and then, I mean, it was a zigzag, so it was like it was down and then boom, boom, boom.
So yeah, so like we're going down day 1, right? And we're already like up for training, but it was a bit like, it's a bit much this. Like, you, on that mat is the best in the world, and we've got to cycle a fucking mile and a half down the mountain.
It's that gulping it where you're thinking, right, this is going to, like, knowing straight away before you even touch your gi properly, going down this mountain thinking, this on top of this camp.
Yeah, you've already got a hurdle,
thinking,
big hurdle.
This is going to be a rough week sort of thing, and we're on our way down sort of thing, and then it just, the whole story unravels massively.
He goes to me, let go of your brakes. So I'm like, what? Because like it's that steep and that slippy that you're constantly just on your brakes.
Yeah.
She's like, just
Go on, Liv.
brakes.
Go on, Liv. Go on, Liv.
So I've gone, right, fuck it, bang, let go. I'm telling you, mate, within 10 seconds, the pace that I hit, the pedals were going too fast to keep my feet on the pedals, so like my legs were like stark out to the side. The bike's hitting some serious pace, so I start to hear him just because it's a zigzag.
Brakes! Liv, brakes!
I didn't know what was on the end. That might, from all we knew, that could have been a cliff edge. So like he's screaming brakes. So I put my brakes on and I'm not slowed down 1%. And honestly, I've hit this pile of snow and I just
I thought
fucking...
you dead. I thought you were
Gone. Like over the
disappeared.
side.
I was like off my back. I was like, I kind of laughed at first. I was like, he's dead. So I'm running down. I'm running over this mountain. I've climbed up this mountain because he's hit it and I've gone straight over it, and it's just led there. It's like, what is going on? What am I doing here? Sort of thing. I mean, and then I'm on. I knew he was all right. I'm on the floor. I'm crying now. We're wet through, and this is starting to count.
So we get in there and like. Take your gear off, it's sopping wet.
Yeah.
Then you got to put a gi on. And then you're getting battered for
Then you're lining up these world's best people. 1, 2, here we go, 4, and over is 5, sound 4, here we go, and then back up to hill. And then back down again in the afternoon, twice a day.
On a bike.
Literally. So we must have been, cycling, 4 mile a day?
I say, like up and down, back up and down, back.
In the snow, 20 to 30 rounds a day.
Because the hotel... So it was a big arena attached to a hotel. So everyone official just walked out the door, left in a hotel, had a big spa there, and then we was like, see you later, guys. We was on a bike, we're going up and
I was thinking, all these dingies.
And then we nearly lost him though as well.
Yeah, I was close. I thought I was gone there. My seat's gone down here. And then we're coming down that hill. So it's the same sort of hill. And we've not made the mistake of going over this time. And as we've gone into the town, we're giving it some. And he's like, hey, now I'll be right. And I'm going down almost like it's almost like velodrome tackle. I remember sitting there and I was coming towards his house. And I didn't realise he said there was a car coming the other way. It was like a right angle.
I'm on the cliff like this, watching this car and watching Nath like they're going to collide. And
as it comes, so I just remember looking at the car coming, oh, and I've just gone, wash. But down the back's all over the place, I'm skidding all over the place. He comes round the corner, he's crying, I'm like, he's going to kill you, mate, you almost died. And I'm sat there and we're laughing, but it was like...
It's like a movie, when two cars fly and something goes through the middle.
But it's like a wobble, like one of them, you just dodge it. Like, that could have been game over. And I think they topped at the end of the week where, we're feeling it now. Do you know when you're trying to you wake up in the morning and you're literally creaking, you're like, I'm going to train today, but I need to warm up something to get going. And at the end of the week, we've got a session. I think we nipped to shop and thought we need some snacks here to get morale going. And as we're coming back,
get morale going.
Oh, mate, it got bad.
Yeah, I bet it did. It
got bad.
We're sitting in the hotel room like quiet. We're just both sat there. It got dark. You know what I mean? The hotel went nice up in the morning, like really. And we're like, and the alarm go off. That mid-afternoon alarm. So from your training in the morning to have a little kip to. And then you have a little kip in between the next session. When that goes off, when you're going to put your sweated kit back on, go back down the mountain, that alarm was like, oh man, it was like someone digging something through you, like,
stop being funny.
And we're like, yeah, stop being funny.
Yeah, Monday was funny, but fucking Wednesday, nah, mate, I'm done.
And then the topper was coming back. It was kind of darkish. We're packed up with some snacks, and Liv goes towards his curb. And as he goes
like this, though,
it's skiing, so I don't know if it means, I don't know. Yeah. And he's gone to jump up, and I remember cycling really slowly next to him. We weren't really talking then. It was kind of like this, just.
We're talking decent bikes here, or
no, they were shit, mate.
Just what you get from maybe an average bike from second-hand shops.
You're talking about bikes where the pedals go around when you knock them.
True.
Yeah, they're shite,
True. He goes up and he jumps too early to mount the curb and just climbs with the curb, but then he hits front of the bike, and that was it then.
Honestly, you fucking watch the bone on the front.
Pubic bone, innit?
Pubis.
Smashed through the
As he starts kicking his bike and
I thought it was the penis bone.
Yeah. And then, but I remember looking, and then it weren't even funny then. I didn't even laugh.
No,
it weren't even funny, because I'm like, I feel you, look. I'm sat in the back now, I stayed still, and he's kicking his bike, he's had enough.
Kicking the bike.
And then there was this big glass window and a full family having a tea just watching Liv. And I'm looking home, I'm like, Liv, we're going to have to go home. And then we're walking with the bikes then, and then we managed to get a bit of power in the legs to get back up the hill then. But that was some trick, that.
But the snacks were good though, weren't they, when you got to your snacks?
Nothing was really appreciated by the end, I don't think, was it?
No.
Shattered pubis.
And dreams.
Yeah. It's one of them though, when you're flying home, when you've tackled that week, you couldn't really appreciate it straight away, but it was like that was...
I bet that's some of the best times of your life when you look back now.
Yeah, now it's fantastic.
But it's even a trip when you're leaving, then knowing that's going to be a trip to remember.
Yeah.
And we were present then. Usually you look back and think, that was mental. But when it was then, I'm thinking, this is one we're going to be laughing about in a few years. And we got back and looked like laughing. It was only a mile away sort of thing. And then we showed him, he was like, oh shit, sorry lads. Like, it was literally a mile from the city, but up. You know what I mean? But that was some crack that, wasn't it? I met 3-4 weeks, something to recover. Because as soon as I got back, we had to do a 10-hour ride to Scotland to the Scottish Open.
Yeah.
So I remember minibus, I don't think I spoke.
And then we were brought though, weren't we? I think we actually got ill.
Yeah.
I think we were actually ill after it.
Yeah. I remember sitting in my room, not long after, thinking, like, numb. Just thinking,
But was there any of those moments where it's like, I don't know if I'm done? Or has it always just been,
It was never done. It was never, I've never had that feeling until maybe recently, but it was never done. But it was thinking, I've hit a wall here. Yeah. What I've done is I've gone up, and I did this too many times, and I think that hindered me in my career, certainly in my mid-20s and stuff like that, with getting to the hill, feeling great, and then not being smart enough to stop, and then getting straight back downhill. So by the time I got to the comps where I should be peaking at, I'm like, and this is where my battle was. I just overtrained too much. I think we did it a lot where I just wanted to be good.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, well, more is more. If I keep doing that, if I do that, I'll just keep training. And on the weekends, we'll go and train as well, and we'll do this. And that was my issue over the years and then come to stuff like that where we're probably, if we had a little bit about, it's like, make sure we'll just take today off.
Yeah.
But in that meant, it was like,
I suppose when it's all of you boys are together, it's like...
But it was just us.
You-
two,
yeah,
but
yeah.
We just couldn't. It was
Yeah,
like,
he's good,
we
yeah.
needed to sort of thing, and was like, but doing it was really difficult to. Well, I'm missing training.
But
Like,
you dare say it though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like if it's just us two, and I might want to rest, I won't say it because then he'd probably go, "Oh, well, I'm all right."
Yeah.
well, no, I'm sound. And it weren't like we were against each other at all.
No,
but
no.
it's that mentality thinking, yeah, a bit of wall here. I'm looking over. Limbs clearly, but it just wouldn't be said unless. And like Luke maybe messaged and said 2 days you have 2 sessions. So some days you do 2. So you do 3 in a bounce sessions and then you rest 1.
Never.
3 in a bounce and then you different camps you mix up to what you were aiming for and stuff. But that camp, like it was, and then there was plenty like that, man. There was plenty. You know what I mean? I had Mongolia this year where we rocked up to the South Koreans were there as well, and it was because we thought it was going to be a national training camp. So you usually have 1 session a day, do a bit around it, but it was just 2 a day. 2 a day, South Koreans, Mongolians, and then the week after.
No way.
And the week after the Russians rocked up during this war they've got going on in Ukraine, so they're banned from everywhere. And then the Mongolians come up just to let you know the national Russian team's coming over. Have you got a problem? Because they weren't asking us, they were telling us. I was like, I'm thinking judo, it's training.
Yeah.
And this is what I like about judo, this is what I like about sports. Whatever goes on politically, I walk down that stairs this next week, buzzing, I'm going to get trained with these 70 Russians who rocked up to Mongolia who haven't trained probably for the last 6 months abroad because they've been banned.
Yeah.
And just judo people to me.
Yeah.
They're just like...
It's not them fucking committing
No.
the political war, is it? You know what I mean? Like,
I regretted it towards the end of the week because it was dog eat dog. You could tell they'd been unleashed. They'd not been out for a long time. And I think they probably... The chemist trip's been going really well with him. And I've telling Liv earlier, I remember one guy... And I think I had a really good camp, but one guy, he put my head up my ass with one arm.
no way.
Yeah, and I remember he's putting it down. I think it was in the corner. I don't think... Certainly Paul, the coach who was there at the time, he didn't see it, you know what I mean? I remember sitting, I remember coming back thinking... And I remember getting up, and I think I'm reasonably can look after myself sort of thing. And like I said, I had a good camp with this one guy, and he was kind of holding me. And I don't think... He wasn't trying to be horrible, but he's kind of... I think he's working out what to do with me. One arm, and I'm bent off, and he just kept moving like that. And I kind of got up, and I was like... What's going on? He's like, and he's kind of going, I was like... I remember seeing his other hand. I remember looking up, thinking he's pinning me.
Did you suspect much of that? Obviously, it's all come out now. But when you was competing at these high levels, did you suspect Was you looking at some of these countries like, why is he fucking 66 kilos but looks 85?
You used to sit there and look at some of them, and like some of them 6 foot making my weight. And you knew they're hurting, but they stand at the back of the room waiting to the weighing last. You're like, no chance.
Yeah.
No chance. And the weigh just felt like concrete.
Yeah.
You got all the I mean, that's the way I can explain it. You get all some of the Russians almost around the tricep, and it just felt like concrete. There was no give. There were no squeeze.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you look at a lot of them, the technical ability to some of them are phenomenal, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the Eastern bloc, like, it's so physical. You don't need to be that technical.
There was a camp in Minsk. Remember that camp they used to do in Minsk?
I did it the last couple of years.
Used to do that, yeah. So it was like it's in like a weird little village.
Yeah,
You got like your little canteen. You got that river that Chav jumped in, polluted river.
What, he polluted it, or it was already polluted?
No, a bit of both.
Well, it looked probably Chernobyl tackle going over. It didn't look great.
Yeah, but I remember being there, and they had like a big judo hall where we'd spar twice a day, and they had like a sambo hall.
Yep.
Did you go in that?
I mean, it's massive, isn't it?
Like the weights room and that.
Yeah.
I was lifting weights. I think it was before the Commonwealth. It was only me and Preston for some reason. Not sure. But the Azerbaijan team come in, and genuinely, it was like a load of kids was on a lead, and they just let them off the lead, and these kids were just sprinting around the gym, like the worst cleans you've ever seen. This outrageous lifting, just bicep curling for the sake of it. Grip hold you on the mat, and it's just something else.
Do you know what I mean? It's mentally, when you see people like that, who was that Greco, the Greco-Roman Russian wrestler? Karelin? No.
Oh, what, the experiment?
The experiment, yeah. You see him training, just like caring, like doing like kettlebell swings, and it's like, but you can't be that. Like,
people don't get this, so you talk to someone who's maybe never been in high-level sports, even done a lot of fighting sports, they don't get how, like, if you're that bad off the mat, and in your essence, and you look like that, and you're that strong, like, and I used to say to some people, like, they've got to be on something that's ridiculous, because, like, I'm not big, and I've always made weight.
Yeah.
But I've trained as much as you could possibly say train.
Yeah.
Without saying having the money to make it really scientific sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have at the club, and then you're going abroad and you watch somebody's train off the mat. So these, say a few times you've been in camps where someone's give you a good idea and you're thinking, he's that strong, I can't do it with him.
Yeah.
And you see him in the gym.
Yeah, they just
And
move.
they can't do anything.
Yeah,
you
we
watch
were-
them clean. They're doing like 120 kilo cleans, and they're like they're going to snap something. There's strength there, but there's no ability. There's no actual technical side of things, and you're thinking, how are they that strong?
Yeah, it's
I mean, and a lot of the sports at the high level, and you're guessing a lot. More and more of it's coming out with that Icarus documentary, and so, which is heartbreaking because you kind of know it, you know what's going on, but when it hits you in the face, that's exactly what's going on. You're like, this is
Not
ridiculous.
to accuse all sports, but it's across the board in every sport, and every top level sport
A
there is
lot of
some.
nations, it's money in it.
One of the roughest places I ever went in terms of feeling strength was Georgia.
Yeah.
Did you go to the National Centre to
Yeah,
Tbilisi as well?
that is raw strength always.
Was you with me when we were staying at last year's, or was you not on that
I went
trip?
that time. No, that was a rough time. I heard.
But that's something though. That you got people in there. You got 17-year-old kids who'll grab you and absolutely beat the shit out of you. And then like one did it to me, and I didn't see him. I've never seen him before. I didn't see him after for about 3 years. And when I seen him, he won the Junior Europeans. He was still super young.
That Grigala.
What, he just battered you when you were a
90s,
senior?
he won 90s. I think he beat Jamal at 90 kilos. It weren't Grigalash, no.
He's 81, was
He
he?
just flew through on it.
Were you a senior when that happened to you with that kid?
I was senior, yeah, and like.
And how old would he
doing
have
all
been?
right.
17?
How old was I?
How old would he have been? 17 or younger?
Younger, probably. Probably
You
15.
got used to that, to be fair.
15?
And I was
Yeah.
about 22.
Yeah, but what is that though? What is he doing that you're not?
Well, you've got to realise he's probably been in national centre with Georgia since probably 5.
They are very.
There's nothing else to do.
It is a different level. Like I remember when we went there, it was like we were there for a few weeks, and last year one of the lads at Campbell, his auntie lives there, his nan lives there. We were staying with them, and they like last year said to us, we'll try and get like a dojo that you can use in terms of like prep. So you can go there and just tick over until the tournament starts. So he rings whoever up, gets this fucking gym that we can go and use, and we rocked up. We get there's like 20 blokes outside, all in leather jackets. So I'm thinking, fucking hell, we're going to get robbed here. Like, a load of English lads, like, we're going to get robbed. And all they did was open up and asked if they could watch because they loved judo that much. They just sat
big
down and
there.
watched us train.
It's big there. You go to the comps area, it's big. They love it. And I'm guessing certainly Tbilisi, there's not much else in the sense of, and Tbilisi is really nice to be fair, like the city itself. But as far as sports go and stuff like that, like those top judo players, they're superstars over there. They're on billboards, they're famous, they're massive, they get Olympic medals.
Is it in Georgia? They have that big they have like a big wrestling statue in the middle of the.
In Tbilisi.
Yeah,
There's not summer. I didn't know what it was, to be fair.
like that, don't
But it's some, and for judo, and do you know what? It's a great nation. The people there, it is fantastic. And and if you can fight, you enjoy fight, they'll love you.
They love
Like,
it. It's
yeah.
the rowdiest crowd I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Tbilisi.
But they just want to see fighting. They don't bother where you're from. You come out there and you go for it. No matter what happens, they'll love you then.
Did you tell me that? Want people coming to watch the training?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
like,
yeah,
people
yeah.
were literally turning up just to watch 3 or 4 English lads train.
That's mental.
Tell you
It's
what,
like,
though.
you've definitely got better people in your country.
I bet it goes off when like a Georgian fights like a Russian or something like that.
Again,
But it goes mad.
I can imagine internally, you don't see it too much. Do you, as in, you can imagine going out there internally with them, but like judo still has that sort of, you got to do it right out there. You don't show, you don't really start kick up, you won't kick off, you won't get.
What about crowds? I mean, like, if you get people watching, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, Tbilisi Grand Prix is rammed, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's all Georgian, there's no mix, if that makes sense. But if they said, if there's maybe a Russian fighter come out to fight a Georgian, I think they'd be pretty rowdy and that. Yeah.
But some place, like, physicality is the next level, though, isn't it? Georgia.
Yeah. And what I like about stuff like that is when they say you go to Georgia and someone's not from Georgia, but they've got maybe a Georgian name, that's it. They're yours.
Yeah, that's
They'll,
true.
you see, and you've got a lot of that. Like you've got the Spanish boys, and you've got a lot of that. Maybe with a bit of a villy at the end. That's it. They're just you're one of
What?
us.
So like Spanish lads will go compete for Georgia?
No. So
sorry.
so they've got at the competition, but they maybe have a bit of a Georgian name.
Ah, right.
But if I'm somewhat, that's it. There, you know what I mean.
Ah,
They'll
never.
screaming and they'll go out for them and stuff like
Never.
that. Yeah. So it's,
Oh, mental. So a bit of a like question about your career there, like not a negative one, but what's been probably one of your biggest failures in your career, and from that, what lessons have you learned from there? I mean, like you have dished out some really good things, like even that you said about going for the inches. I thought that was fucking great. But like, what has been your biggest lesson from one of your biggest failures in your career?
I think maybe what I said before. I think one of my biggest lessons now, I think there's a couple. I think as competitive wise, I think overtraining.
Yeah.
For a long time, I just think, you know what I mean. And like we said before, if you just train hard, you get on it and stuff like that, you should be all right. You don't need it scientific. It's not about being scientific. It's just about not overtraining completely.
Yeah.
And I just had that mindset. Certainly, as I left home early 20s, it was just get as much as I can in. And I think it's a good mentality to have. Like coaches liked it.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you're defeating the objects of what you're doing. You almost, as I'm training for competitions and I'm flying, and say I go to Japan. I remember once I went to Japan for a while. I come back, I felt brilliant. I really did.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the times where I felt like I'm feeling pretty good here, and I'm building up to this comp. And I'm coming back, and it was like 2 weeks, 10 days. Say I got back like a Wednesday, and then we trained. Then and it was like almost a bit of a camp, and then it was the competition the week after. And I remember Luke's like, yeah.
I remember that.
And that Luke's like, mate, rein it in, like, and I was just bits of mats get off, and I mean, I just felt brilliant. I felt almost untouchable to myself.
Yeah.
I'm going, everything was just working and flying, and I remember always looking now and again, looking at Luke. He's like, man, just take it. And I just thought, if I stop now, I'm gonna either deplete. And the biggest saying I've had is, say in a week or 2 weeks time, there's not much you can gain there, but there's a lot you can lose.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I remember getting told that, and it was kind of more, as I got older, it's a bit like, oh man, he's all right. You know what I mean?
Well, I bet you look across your career now with 33 years old.
Yeah.
You can look back at your whole career from, considering you started when you were 6. You could just look at things through completely different now. The way you was thinking when you was 18,
100%.
21, 25.
I look back to thinking when I was 16, 17, 18, and like even I did my first Kendall winter camp at 10 years old.
Never.
So Kendall winter camp is somewhere you meet up at usually be during Christmas and New Year's at the Lake Districts, and it was literally 3 days, and it was just madness.
It's a fucking rough few days, that as well.
Certainly years ago, you go on there, and I mean, like, and I was 10 when I first did that, and you got all these top lads when I was a kid then going on it, and I mean, you're on the hills, you got Barney Rubble with the rocks above your head,
Never.
And this is character building at its best, and I swear that is one of the best things I ever did, and best things I could contribute to my character, as well as maybe having, my dad was brilliant for that sort of stuff, but to lead into anywhere of my life. I'd say I've got a not bad work ethic. I build it towards those Kendall camps, Brian Moore and Lippy. They just, and it is make or break at times.
Yeah.
And there was a lot nicer than they come across. At the forefront, there was rough, ready, you know what I mean? There was brutal, like, you know what I mean, that sort of sense. But it just set you up really well. I mean, you do that from 10 years onwards sort of thing. You just thought it was normal, to be fair. You look back now, and that, like you said, then you're like, oh, you know what I mean? You do learn a lot, but I think they're my biggest lessons in that sort of sense. And
if you was going to get, let's say you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? Like, I think these are the keys to success now. Now you've got a 33-year-old head on you. Because, like I said, when you was 18, it's train hard, fucking keep going. What would you say to that person now, or anybody who is listening, who is at the start of their judo career or BJJ career? What would you say? Here would be some of my keys to success.
I'd say just be smart and just think about what you're doing in that sort of sense. In fact, I don't regret nothing I've done.
Yeah.
But I've done it with the best intentions. I've done it with, I think, with a good work ethic. I just didn't learn quick enough, or I didn't take advice in quick enough. And it's kind of just, not less is more. It certainly isn't that. But it certainly isn't more is more.
Yeah.
And it's train smart. Any training isn't good training. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
You might be moving, your heart rate might be good, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you.
Yep.
Which that's where I got crossed over. I thought, well, if I've just got my heart rate going on the rower all the time. If all my rowings didn't have to be 100%, I've got to follow this rowing peak up everywhere. You used to get kids out of the gyms. Luke used to get emails. It's a public gym. There's people there at 9 in the mornings, and you've got OAPs trying to do a walk. We're screaming, howling in the corner, heads sticking out the bins, and they're messing. Luke, they can't do this. We give it to boys for free, and then we've got old ladies and old men here like petrified because they scream, and we're howling. You get to the point where you don't care what you look like.
Yeah.
You know what, though, it's a tough one though, isn't it? Because I think you've only done as well as you've done because you went through that shit.
Yeah,
So
it is hard. There's no regrets there whatsoever, but it is hard.
I think, like, as a youngster, you've almost got to build that volume.
100%.
Because, like, I think, like, a youngster could listen to that and go, all right, I'm tired today, so listen to my body and have a rest.
I thought that.
Yeah, absolutely bang on there.
And you've done the volume. I think it's time to be clever as you get a bit older and you've done that shit.
Yeah,
like
mid-20s, you couldn't say it better than I think that's it. And I think that's where they get confused now, because you get a lot of this stuff podcasts, you get a lot of the YouTube videos where you get these athletes talking down to them, you're probably getting these 16, 17-year-old kids, well, rest is important, but it's got to be earned.
Oh,
Yeah,
mate, there's
mate.
people at 16 walking around with a fucking Whoop strap on, saying, "Red today, I'll have a day off." It's like, no, you're 16, mate. Go to the fucking gym.
Yeah, and that's that work. So when they do get to a challenge, it becomes a lot more difficult. I think, and that's where I swear by those kennel camps and the tough camps and the early years. I think if you put the grind in, then you really tackle it, and as smart as possible around really good people. You can't tackle it on your own. If you're going to do it properly, you can't be on your own.
Speaking of challenges, there, like we've been speaking a lot about physical challenges. Did you ever have any mental battles? Like, obviously, it's all up here as an athlete, and it's all it's in everything, in business, in relationships. Have you had to overcome any big challenges when it comes to mental health as well?
I think they're probably my biggest ones, to be fair.
Oh, really?
So, and this is what I mean. You can push yourself physically so much, but your body can withstand a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it gets to the point when you're in that bad of a situation, it all gets down to the head then. And again, all high sport, when you're at a high level, it is inches, like I said before, so the difference is mentality. And I think that's what's maybe, again, probably I've not really spoken about this before, but it's probably like messed me up a few times in the sense of hindered me in certain ways where when it gets to that point where I've drawn myself to the ground that much, then the head starts spinning. Yeah. It's never so much, I've never doubted myself, but you run yourself into the wall that much, you start like you're getting down and you start like worrying about things you wouldn't normally worry about, and maybe you still, and that's my issue, I could still train really hard, which probably affected me not maybe feeling as good, and then you start spiraling. And then it just adds up and stuff like that. Since I've had the battles in that sort of sense, but I think a lot, when you're doing it right, I think you've got to have those battles.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the process. And I'm not saying you're going to get to a point where you're feeling depressed or you are depressed or you can't mentally work out battles. But I think at that level, because there's only very few go to that level, like certainly like, you're trying to maybe, like me and Owen did, try to achieve, Olympic success. We tried to get to the top. By getting that, I think you've got to sacrifice so much in a sense of you will hit brick walls. And again, it's almost in a different way, it's failure. So it's failure in a different way, it's failure in the capacity of your body. So I'm getting there physically, mentally, trying to find a barrier. It doesn't always come good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It will come to the point where, well, I've pushed it too many times, I've tried my luck, that means, you know what I mean? I've sat in my room sometimes, I'm just, like, not I can't talk, right? But you're just like, your head spinning, you're trying to get yourself going again, and it's spiraling a little bit. And this is where Luke's been fantastic, on and off the mic, coming and on around the show, you know what I mean? Help where you need to be helped and stuff like that. But I think, not many have to go to that place.
We should get Luke on as well.
Yeah, definitely.
He's like fucking phenomenal coach. He's done quite a bit in psychology as well.
He's got a social psychology degree, which really used to mess us up because he never really used to shout, just give you that look. And you'd be like, you know, man, you kind of just you look up and you're like, no. You kind of he had that firm and he just knew what to say at the
I think
right
that's
time.
amazing that a coach can give you a look and it can feel a certain way. Like, I can't remember what coach it was, but he used to force his athletes, like, so on a basketball court, if somebody assisted him, he said, you always look at your partner who assisted him, you give him a nod, or you give him a wink, or you give him a smile. Like, appreciation is a big thing, but also from a coach as well. Like, is the fact that a coach can speak to you just through non-verbals also amazing as well.
I think
Owen started winking at me. I just shit myself.
Have nothing to do with coaching.
might be all the coffee that pal.
I like Owen's coaching cue where he comes up to you and just chins you and then walks off like, yeah, cheers, lad.
You've done well there.
Yeah.
But I think it is that, and I think you do get them, and I think you do crave them at times as well. Even in late 20s, early 30s, you do crave approval or appraisal, and people say, and you get older, you start doing well, you're doing all right. But when someone you turn around and someone you really respect, or someone you want, and you do get that little nod of like.
I mean, it can mean more than anything, can't it? It can mean more than any financial, any type of reward.
Well, and I've never done it. Owen's never competed. I'm guessing you never competed for that. But when you do get it, you don't realise it is something you kind of want, or it does mean a lot, you know. And then I think you've got the old sort of stuff where people who kind of, you got to know when to do it, when not to do it. As now you're a coach, as now I've been coaching some young kids through judo and stuff like that. You got to know who reacts to that differently now. Now I've been through the process, I can kind of feel like I can kind of see personality.
So you don't want to be a cheerleader for your athletes, do you? But you also don't want to be a brick wall.
That's it.
It's
but
like,
I think it's different people though. So I think there's some people it's kind of like, mate, you do step back a bit. That's really good. Well done, man. I'm really proud of you there. Where someone's it's kind of like, yeah, not bad. And you've done something really good. But you know, if you kind of give them too much of a compliment, they don't react well. They start dipping away. They start getting a bit funny. And that's where you start learning. And that's when you've met that barrier. That's when you've known, or that's when you maybe not craved it, but that's when you've always been, is that how I felt? When
Yeah,
I was kind of maybe getting that nod of approval or someone kind of congratulating you a little bit. And I think that's what was nice last week, posting that and getting some of the messages come through. You know what I mean? You kind of get, you know what I mean? The message come through, you know what I mean? It gets heartstring going, you kind of, it does mean a lot where...
I don't think you boys realise how much you probably had an impact on other people's lives. Like, I was kind of saying this last week about you as a coach. Like, look at all the people you changed on Saturday. Like, there's I won't name one name, but there's one lad who goes to your gym now. You've changed his fucking life. You know what I mean? I don't think you boys realise how much impact you have on other people, verbal, non-verbal, even on social media, etc. People who follow you, etc. Like, you do inspire people.
Yeah, and I think you don't realise it within yourself. I realise it in other ways where, like, I go to gyms now, doing gyms like, you know, my local gyms, you see PTs and stuff like that. And it's a bit of a switch, but it means the same thing where there's a lack of responsibility now when people teaching people, and because everything's been sold so much now, there's that lack of almost these people going to people, PTs and stuff like that, and they put in a responsibility, and I'm paying someone to teach me technique, I'm paying someone to teach me that sort of stuff. And there's lack of it because I'm not saying the quality, but the educational wise around it, people not been through like the process of coaching and stuff like that. So when you have got it, I don't think someone like Owen running his school and stuff like he won't get he's been through the process. It's just normal to him. But to other people being around him and coached by him,
people aren't in the stripes shit, have they? Like, you got to wear your fucking stripes, haven't you?
I think in that sense that some people are very, like, and stripes come in different forms in different ways, and some people can offer a lot of different things. What I mean by that, but that responsibility of actually knowing you can give someone it, and then when you have got it, you don't know you've kind of got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, and when you're saying it's Owen sort of thing, and I think when people know so much, you know they know a lot when they realise and they say they don't really know that much at all. Yeah. And that's someone like Owen himself, and that's where he's on. It'll come over his head and don't realise the actual relationships he's building, the people he's helping, because it's just he wants help. It's just try this, try that, and look at this and look at that.
It's just what you've done, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just what people have done for you, and you're just fucking repeating the cycle, aren't you? You're not.
It's like, you can't have a conversation in the street, but you put him on a mat and tell him ask about judo or fucking BJJ. He'll go all fucking day. Put him in the street to have a conversation. That's it, mate. He can't say 5 words.
I think that's what we're fortunate with judo.
I agree, for the first time.
But with judo, you get laid bare. You've got to really open up. You've got to really... And I think because everyone around you, like there's different clubs, different coaches and stuff, they all come together. If you needed anyone from anyone, and they might be coaching different, like a different club and stuff, and that's where I think that we've been fortunate coming through judo as a youngster without realising those principles get built for you. And then, like, I go to a session now if I'm going to teach. I've been trying to teach bits of BJJ now. It's not mine to keep.
Yeah.
Everything I know has been shown to me, or I found it in some way or form. And I think that process is, I really appreciate it. I'm like, it's not, someone's give it me.
Yeah, it's not a fucking secret, mate. Someone's shown it to me.
And that's the issue with a lot of other things. It's, it costs this, it's not mine. I've been fortunate enough to hunt the world and travel the world with my best friends, to travel and train.
Mate, you got in a ring for a pro fight, 450 quid to go train in Japan. Fucking, you've earned that, lad.
That deadlift was worth every bit.
You've earned that. You've earned the right to teach that stuff, don't you?
I did carry that dead leg to Japan as well. It was still there, you know.
I was going to say, did it not fuck Japan up for you?
No, I had a few weeks to recover a little bit. I think Luke took a few days for Luke to talk to me again, to be fair.
You just go on your own as well, scuba?
Yeah, it was 6 weeks scuba, that, yeah.
Stay in the dome?
Yeah. That's really good, but that's another lesson. I said cockroaches in Japan, and mate, they're like that. They're like this. I had a fight with one once, and it come under my door. And you know when you kind of think something's moved there, and I've looked down, and I'm like, oh! And it was not as wide as that, of course, but it was as big. And then we sat there, and I was on my own in the dawn, and I was kind of watching it, and I'm thinking, right, it's all right, I'm not worried about it. Like, I put a towel there, so another one could come in, but it's on the floor, it's fine. And then I sat there a second, it walked across the wall. I was like, I can't sleep now.
I had a bad time in scuba with that. Like, I put the shower on and about 20 ran out the grid. I fucking shit myself. I was showering with a towel over the grid, mate. 10.
Yeah.
Literally, put shower on, all come straight out the grid.
Will you use it?
And I had to put a towel over my grid and I put a towel under my door.
That's where Japan is incredibly tidy, incredibly neat, but it's quite dirty.
Yeah, there's no bins in the streets and that because people just don't litter and all that stuff.
It's routine. It's honestly, and it's an incredible place to go. But in other places like that, and it's university anyway, but it's kind of like that. But do you remember that? Were you there when we in these scuba baths downstairs when Turner and that put bubble bath in a big bath.
No.
And Seisenbacher came in.
No.
And Seisenbacher's this big Austrian. He's in trouble now, Seisenbacher. He's got in a lot of trouble. He's 6'6", double Olympic
Big
champion.
boy. Yeah,
massive,
big
just angry and horrible.
Yeah, big boy.
And they come in like that, and all the head is like, he looks around and he's got bubble. You don't, traditional bath is down in Japan. You have your shower, you have a still, you shower yourself, and you clean yourself, and then you have a hot bath, and then you maybe clean yourself, and then you leave. So,
it's Japanese baths like where you walk in, they've all got their own makeup table and shit.
that's it, yeah. So they were sat there
Weirdest things I've ever done.
yeah.
That.
But they
Strange.
squirted shampoo in it, so there's bubbles everywhere, and they're all messing around and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there and showering, and Seisenbacher comes in and goes, "What the fuck is this?" And it's a voice where you know, like, I'm looked up, I'm like, oh, here we go. And then everyone's like, and he's kind of looking around, there's bubble coming over the thing, yeah. And he's lived in Japan a long time, so he's very traditional there. So everyone leaves out, everyone walks out, and they're all skipping away, and there's bubbles like that. And I turn around, I'm naked here. And I've turned around, and Seisenbacher stood staring at me. He's a giant of a man, and not a great man either. So I'm thinking, he'll happily try and harm me here. So I've got up, he's like, "Yo, fucking boys, you do bubble bath here?" And I was like, sorry, mate, you know what I mean? They're just the young lads, you know what I mean? They're just here, they're messing around. They didn't realise, no, this is disrespectful Japanese judo. Bollock naked, arguing with Seisenbacher. The sliding doors glass. They just left me. They're in there, like it's Turner. I think I can't make the fusers. And I'm sat here toe to toe with Seisenbacher thinking, well, I'm having a naked wrestle with Seisenbacher here. And he will, if he gets a chance, I'm in a lot. And I'm like, oh, you don't ever do this again. And he was getting really gnarly and stuff like that. I'm like, if it kicks off, I'm game. You know what I mean? I'm going to defend myself. And
What are you going to do? Drop Sianagi's cock?
I think I'm pulling it. Well, I think I'm pulling it. I think it, yeah. I'm not pulling it. I think I'm going to have to do. It was big, and so I was thinking. I slid the door. And I'm like, I'm very sorry this has a back because he's very down there. He's done a lot of bad things now, so he's kind of been discarded from judo now. But then he was a big. So it's kind of like you've got utmost respect for someone like that, even though you know he's horrible. You kind of like. He had the contact. He was big. He was the face of judo. So I remember walking, fucking idiots. What? Someone's had a fight beside the back of your clowns. Whoa, put bubble baths in. I'm thinking, Jesus. I walk upstairs thinking, imagine telling him, well, back on, Luke had a fight with Seisenbacher in the Japanese toilets. Bubbles are coming to the door, and he must have been seething.
Fucking class.
One of them, yeah.
A little bit like back to earlier said about the mental stuff and all that. Like when you have ever felt like overwhelmed or unfocused, what have you done to kind of get yourself back on track?
I think I've had help. You know what I mean? I've during a process where certainly during the midway career where I've struggled and stuff like that, trying to get my head around sort of things. You know what I mean? I've seen a psychologist and stuff like that, which helps out, which is a lot more common now, which maybe not so much then. And I think it's a difficult point to get to of doing that when you're meant to be tough, I'm meant to be this stuff, I'm meant to be grinding all the time. You know what I mean? And I was, and which will make it almost worse and stuff, but. I think it comes to the point where, a lot of people have different battles, but again, when you're really trying to find any inch you can, you're really trying to push yourself daily to that, someone's got to give in some ways and stuff like that, and it will give, and I'm not saying that's the right way to go about it, but I think it's also the process where you're going to get burnt at times. You just got to come back and make sure you kind of look after the burn a little bit and don't make it turn into something you're going to have to, it's going to really affect you. And a couple of times I tripped myself up there, and like I said, the club's been fantastic. And they got me in to see someone in that when the times got harder and stuff like that, because you almost just don't. It's when you train people say, oh, you're really down, so get to the gym, get yourself to the gym, and work out, you feel a lot better, and you would do. I'm doing that all day every day anyway. So what do we do? Do a pop to the local gym and go on a treadmill, and then that make me feel better, and then I go back and do another scrap. So all the other sort of revenues I was going to, you know what I mean? Everything I was
been using that bank.
And then I think it was just finding a place of talking to someone to talk back to me to say, this is the way of organising your own head. This is the way of sectioning it. This is where when you go to competition, you've almost got to dissect it and be a different sort of animal. When you come back, you don't have to be that animal all the time. When you come back, you've got to almost calm yourself down a little bit, have a different process of that sort of stuff. And it was just almost, I didn't know how to organise my head as good as I could. And at the end of the day, your brain's a muscle. And no one really looks after it. No one really works it. I've got to, you know, I'm going to go train, maybe go and do some uppers, some lowers, bit of a hybrid, maybe jump into there, get some wrestling going. But you're like, my brain, I don't know how to do it. And a lot of people kind of struggle, and it's not so much depression in that sense, but struggle almost trying to understand themselves a little bit, or how to organise their own head to when it's going to do, and when you're having a bad day, it's kind of, you know what I mean? And you just getting to see somebody like that, for me, just help me organise it better, help me understand what I need to do. And when it is, you almost, I'm on breaking point again, is almost to just try and find bits of routines to try and step back a little bit, work it out, or, you know what I mean, not just go straight through the wall. Sometimes you can maybe walk around the wall and you get to the same destination and stuff like that. And it was good to, because it opened me up to understanding that. And again, Luke's fantastic at that anyway. Like Owen said, he's a social psychologist, and he understands. So a lot of the conversation with Luke was always geared around how you're feeling, where you're going here, where you're going, and stuff like that. So I think, again, if you really try to get to those sort of extreme levels, you know what I mean? Because what we did isn't physically good for you. Not over long term either. I think you know, when you meet those barriers and you work on them and stuff like that, and it does, when you kind of do it properly, it makes you a better, it makes you a stronger person, it makes you more resilient, and you start working. And then that, like you said earlier, when you get to this age now and you look back at what you do know, what you've been out with along the way, you're kind of like, hey, if I knew that then, I'd probably be a bit kinder to myself. And I think that's the issue as well. I was very hard on myself. Yeah, you're lost and stuff like that. There was no, I was when I did well. Monday tomorrow, innit? Monday tomorrow, just get straight back on it again. And I think when it did well, I was wanting to do so much more straight away.
But you kind of say like you wish you celebrated your wins a little bit more.
And I think towards the end, and I wrote that what I did last week, towards the end I kind of did a little bit, and I tried to stay as present as possible, because it is, Monday comes to everybody really quick. Before you know it, back to training straight away. And judo, there was no, it's not like MMA where you do this big camp, you train up to it, then you might have a couple of weeks off, you rest your body a little bit, you know what I mean? You fight Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're back on it, and usually you're in a training camp, so you're in a training camp in the same place, you're back to whatever you did the weekend's gone. Because you've got Friday coming again, or you may have a couple of weeks coming again, and it all accumulates. So I think that's where judo can be quite brutal, where it's in a sense of it just doesn't stop. Everything falls into one. There's no, I think, I'm guessing I never got to ever stand on a world podium or get to the Olympics in that sort of sense. But I can imagine it's not far different. I can imagine, because when you're in and around it so much, maybe to someone out of the scope looking at you, Olympic medal, like Commonwealth medal. Like at that time, it's kind of like you always want more, and you hear a lot of people who get Olympic medal, win the Olympics. It's almost like a bit of an anticlimax. It's kind of right.
I think Adesanya, I think he got the belt in the UFC, didn't he? And then got depression.
Yeah, okay.
Like he
is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like he obviously fought. Obviously, he got bullied when he was younger and all that stuff, and then he got into fighting to look after himself. Then I think he finally fought and got the belt, and then got depression, I think.
Well, I can imagine when you get to that point, it's like, well, I expected this big like world party and this big big feeling.
It's a bit like when you quit though. It's like you get that, and then what the fuck do we do now?
That's it. And then that comes back to like.
Well, last week.
That's it. Like I know we've kind of spoke about it at the beginning, but like what I don't want to use the word expect, because that sounds like we should expect something. But what is the future for Nathon Burns?
I think
if you had an ideal world, let's say.
An ideal world, I think I can offer some sort of coaching. I think my experiences have gone through the exact same as Owen. I think I can give them down, and in some sort of strange way, not that I'll do it at any cost, I think I owe it. Yeah. From the help I've been given, if that makes sense. And it's not that I think I can do this, or I can teach that, all of me can do that. Whatever I've been through and I've learned and been given to me.
I think what you've done is a fucking trade, though. Like if someone goes studying to be an electrician for 25 years, they're a fucking good electrician.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've earned the right to be able to go and coach anyway.
Well, you've done it since you was a bairn as well. I think when you do look at people who've done it from such early on, like you're moulded that way, if that makes sense. Like
I think you do take that for granted. You say it like that, and it's true. Like, and I've looked at it like over the years, but when you go on a different conversation, you say
technical knowledge. It's like everything. Yeah. Like if someone's feeling fatigued, you could help them. If someone's not training enough, you could tell them. If someone needs technical knowledge, you could tell them what they need to do. If someone wants to get better training in terms of sparring, you probably got. Like I know from myself now, you've probably got links fucking everywhere. Yeah. Where you could just send people wherever you want.
What was on about it the other day? I remember someone said, but and then I sat there to myself thinking, like, if we went anywhere in the world, you'd probably be able to put a message out there, and
Oh,
you'd probably
yeah.
get a free bed and a bit of grub.
I honestly think you'll be surprised when you start coaching, because I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. But now that I'm coaching, like the amount of people that I know that I didn't even really think I knew, or didn't even have it in my head at the beginning. Whereas like when now it's like if someone wants to go and train somewhere, you can just sort them out.
Yeah.
Like, there's people in different countries that didn't even realise were mates, but
Yeah.
I think that's with judo and the way you've done it as well. I think like some of your best mates are the ones that you might not have seen for fucking 6 years,
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
you do, it's just the same
It's
as
just the
it
same.
was.
Yeah. It really is, and I think you bang on with it, and you know, I mean, you get all these different feelings and stuff like that, and where you're at, I'm at that crossroads now to step over and stuff to that sort of things. And I'm guessing the way, because we've been through that sort of process, that grind, you know what I mean, that sort of, you know what I mean, continuous sort of pushing on for whatever you can. I think it's probably not even the technical lessons you can give. I think it's the understanding of
Doing it.
I
I've
think
been
people,
through it. You know
I said
what I mean?
people can ask you questions now, I bet, and like the things with you two boys, you haven't just got book knowledge, you've got true wisdom. You've lived it, you've been there, you've done it. Like you have the answer for that shit. You know what I mean? If someone is asking you a question, it's like you've got so many years of experience. Even when it comes to stuff like comp, if I come to you and go, look, mate, I'm a little bit nervous for a comp. You boys have done a fucking million and one comps. You've probably got an answer for me right there and then. Whereas I'm there shit myself like, do I need to do this? Do I need to do this?
It's
You go,
just
no, mate, you just need to do this.
Made so many mistakes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
And that's a process again. And this is in my club now to my kids. So I teach this really affluent school on a Monday, 3 classes back to back, and I teach up my club and stuff like that. But the biggest purpose, and I always try and say, is be willing to fail. I'm teaching you shouldn't be good at it now. I've just taught you 10 minutes ago. If you're good at it now, it's you know what I mean. There's no point, no need for me here. Try it, give it a go. Be willing to fail in anything you do, because that's where I've learnt the most. I've done really good comps and I've sat there and stuff like that. You enjoy it a little bit, then you move back and you move on to like, what do I want next? But when I've lost and I've sat there thinking, what am I doing? What happened there? You rethink it, you go over it. I've learnt so much from failure. It's made me robust, it's made me understanding, it's made me truly learn what I need and what I want in that sort of sense.
You can manage people now though. It's like, I knew what we were on about today. One of the lads in the gym, like, he's fighting MMA in March, and he's like started following the schedule in the gym now, which is like solely focused around MMA. So he's doing about 10 sessions a week on the mat, specifically for MMA. But then he's going home, taking drills that we're doing in the gym and doing them at home. So he's come in this morning, he's like, his hip flexors all fucking wrapped up, and that it's good because he's super keen. So he's like overtraining now. But then now you could go up to him now and be like, look, mate, you don't have to do extra. Like, leave the shit at home. We're providing what you need.
You actually did say that to him.
Yeah, because it was needed. It's like, you've got everything you need here now. You don't have, because I've done that. The gym's give me everything I needed because I was lucky that I was at a good gym. But then you've gone back and done more. You've done like an extra run.
This
is
like, what I said to you.
Why the fuck am I running?
And it's that point where not all training is good training. But what Liv's found in this lad here, and which is what you want. He's got the right mentality now. So I'm gonna have to nurture this guy. I'm gonna have to rein him in, and that's what you want as a coach. And I can imagine as other coaches maybe been around us, it's the best thing you want is whoa, stop.
You'd rather someone who does
100%.
too much than someone who don't do enough.
100%. And then, but it still can be detrimental if it's not controlled. But it's almost, we've been around a club, Camden where we lived, people in and out all the time. They come for 6 months, 2 years, 2 weeks, and you can almost get towards the end. I was like, I could probably, the personality trait what comes in, I'm like, and only to myself, I'm like, I can't see them lasting that long.
Kind of know that. We used to call them shooting stars, where they come in, they train 3 times a day, they'd smash the gym, but you go, I won't see you in 6 months' time. They're a shooting star, they come and they go, don't they?
And you kind of get that. So when you go to the club now, you can see the people who are trying to make it look like they're training hard. And I see it maybe in other places, not so much as Judo Club. Judo Club is just where I'm at. It's just a club level in that sort of sense with a couple of decent lads in there in that sort of walk. But in other places you go to, you can kind of see personalities where he's probably like, not knowing him, he's got a little bit about him there. There's a little bit of sort of rawness there, and there's others where it's flamboyant a little bit more, showing a bit more show than actual go, if that kind of makes sense. And it comes to personality traits. And at the end of the day, heart and mentality is struggle to be taught, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
any technical aspect can be taught to a lot of people. And I think when it gets to that upper echelon, that those sort of the minute sort of, you're crossing down to almost a very small pool of maybe elite athletes and stuff like that. It's not really the technical aspect. You get someone like the Ocho, Shohon, and stuff like that.
Point where everyone's got good technique, doesn't it?
It's like that quote, and it's like hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. Like,
and that's what you get to.
You get to a good level, everyone's got good technique.
Yeah, it's fine then. It's fine. How much you want it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That's
then,
really good,
and then on top of that, there's a good sprinkle of luck.
Yeah.
But only luck comes and all opportunity comes when you've done everything to put yourself in a position to do it. And that's the difference, I reckon, between a good bulk of people who maybe never got to that point, maybe did judo when you were younger and they maybe done it for 10 years and they quit maybe 19, 20, 21, got hard or they got hurt and stuff like that. And they could have been amazing. But I think the different notches at times is just biting down. At all cost.
Is anything like it's like towards the like, or even throughout your career, is there been in like quotes what kind of keeps you going, or like you said some great things there, you might not have noticed that you probably run through your head all the time, but has there been like a favourite quote of yours to kind of keep you going, or has there been ever said anything what stood out to you like, shit, that's fucking good, like the good shit sticks, doesn't it, over your career?
I think the good one would be in the sense of like what I said there, like almost in the sense like be willing to fail, don't worry about that. And then the other one would be that is certainly towards the end of my career, which I appreciated more, it was you can't gain too much this week, but you can lose a lot.
Yeah, that's really good.
And in that week of the time coming up to a comp, it's so true.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can really put on top of what I've done now to change anything. But if I keep pushing the way I am, I can lose everything and feel like crap.
I think that's amazing.
You know what I mean? And that's probably one what stuck to me a long time, because it is, and it's very true. It's just a bit dense. Really easy to actually soak it up.
I think that's a really good lesson to like leave it on there. Like, is there a way anyone, like if supporters or people are watching here, a way people can support you? Is the Instagram channels, YouTube channels?
Yeah, I've got Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. I'm not the best in social media, but I'll creep on there and stuff like that. I'll be on there even there.
What's your handle? Is it?
I think it's, Instagram's Nathon Burns Judo, and I think Twitter's similar, Nathon Burns, or like with an O.
Perfect.
My mum wants to be a bit different, so yeah.
Perfect, mate. We appreciate your time today.
It's fantastic. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers,
Go and give it big oos.
Oos.